Hello everyone and welcome to Monaco. This is round 7 of the round 6, my apologies, of the GPVWC Formula Sprint 1 Championship of 2022. There you see the famous street circuit spinning around in front of your eyes and all of the famous sights and sounds playing in the background. There's Sandoval, one of the most difficult turn 1s and tight turn 1s on any Grand Prix calendar. We're currently a few minutes into qualifying. We've got about 7 minutes remaining, so plenty of time still for the order to change and switch about. But so far it is Jake Dennehan at the top of the timing sheets. There you see the air temperature and track temperature, a decently warm 21 degrees. That's about standard, really. You wouldn't really feel that around a place like this. And the circuit, of course, the shortest on the calendar, both in terms of time, not necessarily in terms of distance. Mike Quint there going down into the chicane. He's on a good qualifying performance so far, currently in P4. So it's Dennehan, Stevens, McGorgy, Quint, Ragosa, Hamming, Machete, Zubinski, Watson, and Kropp, the top 10 currently. And if you're wondering about our one of our previous pole sitters, Darius Andre, he does not appear to be in the server right now, but even if he was, he would have a back of the grid penalty for jumping in and out of the pit lane in the last session. Anyway, I'm being joined by Russ McIntyre. Russ, Monaco.
Hello, Caitlin. Monaco. Yeah, don't think anything else really needs to be said. Of course, hello and welcome to all of our viewers from across the globe. And yeah, well, if you're, yeah. I mean, it's Monaco, isn't it? It's crashing, it's glamour, it's glitz, it's all of that. And I think that's is that the new pit building? No, I don't know. I'm just talking to myself there. But yeah, it's Monaco. You know, it's the jewel in the crown of any motorsport sim racing calendar. And we've got 5 minutes left in this qualifying session with Jake Dennehan currently sitting on pole by 2.5 tenths, which is a massive gap here in GPVWC. And let's see if that's going to change over the rest. But Caitlin, we saw in the FS1 race a couple of days ago. It's going to get a bit hectic around here tonight.
Yeah, F2 race. Yeah, we had a pile up on the first lap of race 1. Race 2, it was a little bit cleaner, but that's because the pile up got out of the way on the formation lap, with the track completely blocked there. And it was quite a difficult one to navigate. Any other year, it would be okay to have Monaco on the calendar and you just kind of look over it and be like, okay, we'll have that one kind of standout round, and then the other rounds will be the purpose-built race circuits and the wider street circuits where you can overtake a little. The trouble is, this year we're just coming off the back of Baku as well. It's another really chaotic one, and having Baku and Monaco back to back is a unique challenge for the drivers. I personally think the biggest issue at this point in the season is keeping your cool if you get, taken out 4 races in a row or whatever, which is very, very possible. Although we have seen that these drivers are pretty good. They do know how to race each other, and hopefully they can keep it clean today. Here's Frank Hamming, currently in P7. He's improving his first sector time, although actually Ragosa is just ahead of him and setting an even quicker first sector time. And Tom Stevens as well, appearing to be attempting to improve his lap. Stevens, it looks as if the first sector is where Dennehan is getting away at this point in time, with the second sector going in the favour of Stevens. So that's interesting. You've got a little bit of back and forth there. And as the drivers fly around on 100% wing angle, I expect, we're about to see which of them, and is that a change? Someone's just moved up the order a little. Menno Klont into the top 10. What does Alexander Ragosa do? Stays P7. So Ragosa there just missed out on his lap by a couple of thousandths of a second, Russ.
Yeah, so it's tight, but it could be tighter. At the top, it's now under 0.2 of a second between Dennehan and Stevens for that top two. Still 2.5. Still 2.5 minutes to go, roughly. And well, here we see Vincent Gutt lining up, getting ready. Just maybe, I'm not sure if he's either running out of fuel or he's getting a launch to quick start his hot lap, which should be his final push lap. Although he does have time to go for another if he so chooses. And into turn 1, let's go with an onboard lap, shall we, with Vincent Gutt through Sandoval. Very nice and perhaps maybe a little bit of a later apex would have given him a better launch. Up the Beau Rivage, but doesn't matter now. My favourite corner in the world, Massenet. Hit that second apex, bring it back across for Casino Square and then down into Mirabeau. Obviously, you don't have to avoid the bump in the middle of the circuit in a sim. And now coming in to the hotel hairpin. All the lock-on in the world. Almost crawling around there. And now bringing it down into these next two right-handers. Very tricky through here. Obviously, get a bit too much speed and you do what Vincent Gutt has just done and tap the outside wall. Now through the tunnel on the run into the dreaded chicane, the bane of many a sim racer, I'm sure. And that is Vincent Gutt going straight on. So no more hot lap, it would seem, this time. But well, that was a half an onboard lap anyway.
There's Jake Dennehan. Now, Massenet is a great corner. I agree with you there, Russ. The trouble is there's a massive bump on the second kind of compression in that corner this year. And in the FS2 race, that was probably the accident black spot of the weekend, as drivers struggled to keep their cars under control over that bump. We'll see if the FS1 drivers have the same issue. They do, of course, have a little more grip, but they're also entering it even faster. So I guess it balances out. Dennehan's first sector time has been the fastest of anyone. That is a true purple sector. And that chicane there, it looked ragged, but I tell you what, that might be the fastest way through that, as he had the power down pretty much the entire time after the braking zone. Mike Quint flies up the order to P3. Adrian Faber goes to P10 as well. Dennehan's second sector is also pretty quick. Now through the final turn, opens the DRS. Only one DRS zone on this track, and this is going to be a good lap. It's an improvement. It is 1:13.403, which gives him 0.2 of a second in advantage. Here's Stevens about to start his final flying lap.
Well, that was a great lap from Dennehan, but let's see what Stevens can do coming through. Oh, no! And that's Stevens into the wall, coming through Sandoval, and that is Stevens bailing from the lap. So unless Mike Quint can do anything, checkered flag is out. That will be it, and it will be Dennehan on pole, but let's see. Macheda coming through to green first sector, but it's 0.2 off. But Stevens in the wall, such a rare mistake from Stevens. Oh, what a shame, just pushing too hard through Sandoval into the wall. And, well, that was that, unfortunately. What a shame.
He's going to be one to watch today. Sorry, he has been doing some super lights recently and is stepping in to the TCS off racing car there in the place of Darius Andre. I wonder if that's because it's Monaco. The TCS off drivers were like, the TCS off team were like, well, we know you're not going to be scoring points here from the back of the grid. We're going to bring in someone else and you can come back at the next round. We'll have to see if that is the case. Machete about to complete his lap. Also, McGorgy is on a purple second sector. Machete's lap puts him 9th. He was already 9th, although he's been passed by Adrian Faber that last second there. Here comes McGorgy into the pits. So he does not improve. A couple more drivers in the points improving. Here's Jason Muscat across the line and moves up to 14th. Damien Kardash also just completed his lap, and that is the end of qualifying. So that means that the pole position time is that of Jake Dennehan, as Sophie Aronwinen there comes across the line P27. Unfortunately, quite a long way off the rest of the field, so Sophie there struggling for pace a little. But yes, Dennehan takes pole position. Tom Stevens will be second, Mike Quint third, then McGorgy. Actually, I'll wait till we see the full rundown. There we go, there you go. McGorgy fourth, then it's Moritz Kropp in fifth, Frank Hamming, Alexander Ragosa, Adrian Faber, Ruben Machete, and Menu Klont. McGorgy there in P4, of course, the championship leader after the last round. Amari Watson is P11, then Matthias Szybiński, Damien Kardash, Jason Muscat, Luke Mitchell, Ada Erkan, Rafael Lukashevsky, Craig Patterson, Kasper Michalak, Stavros Musadis. He's new to the series, I believe. Let's go to the next panel. Philip Koenig, P21, Sandro Van Sand, Vincent Gutt, Mike Bell, Perseus Miram, Martin Buchan, Sophie Aronwinen, and then not setting a lap in 28th position was Justin Van Desmissen. So that is your order. And in a few minutes' time, we're going to see them racing around the treacherous streets of Monte-Carlo.
Indeed, we will. Of course, we've got the warm-up sessions to look forward to first, so panic not. You've still got a little bit of time. So yeah, we still got time. It's all fine. But yeah, great lap there from Dennehan to take the pole position. That was mega. I mean, the kind of half we saw from the onboard was just absolutely on the limit, wasn't it? That was a really, really strong lap, and that'll be interesting to see what he can do coming into the race. Of course, a lot of drivers, a lot of really good drivers seemingly struggling out there. And, seemingly stuck in that mid-pack purgatory, and that is the opposite of where you want to be in Monaco. You can get away with it. Tracks like Baku, you've got a big slipstream. In Monaco, qualifying is absolutely everything. And, of course, in these FS1 cars, they're a bit smaller, but, a bit smaller than the big boys. But, it's still going to be tough to overtake. So we'll have to see what happens. 10 minutes of warm-up. Hopefully no one crashes and causes any pile-ups. But, yeah, nice, just chill session to have a breather with.
And this is the first of our GPVWC races where strategy is going to come into play. And at Monaco, that's a tight one because the leader can really control the pace in the early stages of the race. Providing they don't make any silly mistakes, they're not going to be overtaken. So the actual pace of the race really does depend on how fast the leader actually wants to go. But then when you get to the pit stops, you can get drivers ducking in and jumping the entire field or whatever if the leaders are going slow enough. But usually it's actually the overcut that works quite well at Monaco. With that being said, we're hearing that tyres this weekend are actually going to be, or this next week, are actually going to be a bit of a talking point. In the Super Lights and the Super League, they are going off really, really quickly because they have the softest compounds there. Now here in the FS1, we have the same compounds of tyre every week. So how those specific tyres react to the Monaco circuit is going to be something to look out for. No one is going to want to go for a two-stop because you lose so much track position, and track position here at Monaco is absolutely critical. But if the tyres wear, then they may find themselves in a world of difficulty out there. Let me talk you quickly through the championship as it stands as well. Owen McGorgy is leading it, having come off the back of 3 podiums in a row, the first driver of the season to achieve 3 podiums in a row. So a real streak going there for Owen McGorgy. As you see a little touch there between Ada Erkan and Akara Head. Moritz Kropp is second in the championship, was leading it, but DNF'd in the last race at Azerbaijan. Then you have Tom Stevens. He is also on a bit of a streak. He's got 2 podiums, both of them at Azerbaijan, had a second and a third. Jake Dennehan picked up his first podium, his first win of the season in race 2 at Azerbaijan. And with that pole position that he's just taken, obviously he has the momentum here. That's a crash on the warm-up. Erkan and possibly Luke Mitchell, one of the 2 cars there, going into the wall just ahead, but anyway, at least it's warm-up, that won't really matter. Back to the championship, Frank Hamming is P5, then it's Amari Watson, Darius Andre, although he is not here today, Mike Quint, Jason Muscat, and Menu Clont are the top 10 in the standings. And Russ, consistency is already showing itself to be the key, because our championship leader is there by virtue of the fact that he has not finished out of the top 6 at any of the, I was going to say 8 races, it's been 9 races that we've had so far this season, due to the cancelled Portuguese second race.
There's been 9 races already?
Yes.
That's flown by. Wow.
That's right, 5 lots of 2.
Well,
Portugal,
of course. I'm sure we'll rearrange that for some point later in the season, but wow, that's absolutely flown past, hasn't it? Just something I noticed, coming when we saw that accident earlier, just in the swimming pool section, that is the real danger of Monaco. It's actually the other drivers. Everyone talks about, you can't make a mistake. It's one mistake and you're in the wall. Actually, the problem is that if someone makes a mistake in front of you, you have nowhere to go. So if you make your own mistake here and you go, oh well, it's tough luck. If someone makes a mistake in front of you, you could be having the race of your life. You could be lapping cars, doing whatever, and suddenly you're out of the race because of someone else's error. And that is the real danger. It's so tight and twisted. I mean, what we're saying about Monaco, everyone has said it before. Everyone knows about Monaco. It's the most famous race in the world, arguably. It's one of the most famous tracks in the world. It's so unique in its nature. That is a great camera angle there, just saying. But yeah, it's all it takes is for someone just to make one little mistake and you could be out of the race. And we saw it there coming through the swimming pool section. One car gets it wrong coming through swimming pool 1, which does have an actual name, which I always forget, as Menno Clont lets his teammate through, who proceeds to jump the chicane on the way into Tabac now. That's so cool, because there used to be a tobacconist on the outside of the corner when it was still not a grandstand, there's still some shops. But yeah, all it takes is it's just one mistake from the car in front, and you could be collected in the wall through no fault of your own. So it's very interesting to see. Less than 5 minutes to go now in this warm-up session, and 2 Multiforce GP cars just following each other in tandem. Bit of DRS, and you'll be seeing here the action that you're probably most likely to be expecting in this race. It's not going to be your normal GPVWC overtake fest. It's going to be a Monaco race. It's going to be just sitting on the back of your opponent, head to tail, lots of tense, close racing, but not a lot of moves, because there's just no room here unless you want to be really mean and shove someone into a wall. There's a few cars letting drivers past, but yeah, that doesn't really count in my book, frankly, for an overtake. And on board with Menno Clont now on that number 11 machine in the Multiforce GP car as they head down to the bottom end of the circuit there. Very all into the wall, slightly on the running of the curb. Hopefully not too much damage on the car, but yeah, it's a very sharp, hill rising. You go up Beau Rivage, it's relatively, steep, and then suddenly you're coming down Casino Square, and it's like you're on a roller coaster. It's straight up, straight back down again. It's one of those things, if you haven't seen it in real life, you really need to go and see it. It's massive. It's tough to walk up, frankly. Skipping the swimming pool chicane there into La Rascasse. And now Antionogues, the final corner. What did you say there?
Sorry, have you been to Monaco, Russ?
I haven't, but I've got my dad has, and has sent me photos, and it's showing him walking up it, and I'm pretending that I went for commentary effect. But I've seen my dad try and walk up it, a 50-something balding, middle-aged fat man, and it's impressive. I'll say that much. Of course, no offense to my father, dearest. So yeah, it is a very. I mean, just look at even on sim, it's a massive drop off downhill, and it's so easy to lock up into Mirabeau. And then coming into the hairpin as well, first gear, just rip the car in and hope it sticks. I was seeing earlier, Jake Denham was actually sliding the car into the hairpin to get the car slowed and to get the rear rotated early so we could get on the throttle. Of course, you wouldn't be able to do it in real life whatsoever, because you'd either rip the floor of the car or you'd rip the tyres out. But, it's interesting you can do that in sim. Denham seems to be quite certain, from what I can tell on the onboards, that is a space you can make a lot of lap time. I'm not sure if he's almost Scandi flicking the car in, if he's somehow just bashing it down through the gears, causing the rears to lock or whatever. But yeah, a lot of time to be made there, it would seem. So Jake Denham, watch Jake Denham through the hairpin section. You'll see him. There he is on board now. So we'll just follow him down here. So coming up through Beau Rivage, Massenet now. Pretty much on the case, as you'd expect, very close to the walls through Casino Square. pulling over to let some cars through. So maybe we won't be seeing it because it's actually stopped. So yeah, never mind. Going back to the pits for Jake Denan. But you know, if you watch Jake Denan, if you get the chance through the hairpin as Mike Quint there running very close to another car, you'll see him. It's very strange. He like throws the rear end out, almost drifts into the corner to get the car slow. It's just amazing that you could do that in a sim. And you know, again, a lot of time to be made there. So maybe something that a few drivers can learn from.
Noticed that the two PB racing cars appear to be sharing the exact same garage box. And Mike Bell there trying to exit the pits loses his front wing and it's now teleported back onto his car. Little bit of glitching going on down in the pit lane.
Factor 2, never change.
I don't know if the drivers saw that, but whatever the case, it looked a bit weird from where I was. Here's Mike Quint there. On the subject of corner names, the chicane that you were mentioning is apparently called the Louis Chiron chicane.
That's the one.
I would love to be able to tell you that I knew that, although I did just look it up on Wikipedia, got to admit. The whole section, of course, is called the piscine section, which means swimming pool in French. I also like the way that up at turn 7, which is the corner, the little fiddly corner before Portier, the one that you can see just down there on the bottom of your screen. That corner, I always thought didn't have a name, but apparently it's called Mirabeau Bath. Now, of course, the corner at the top of the hill is called Mirabeau Haut. And if you know a bit of French, you know that means basically height and then base. So you've got the top of Mirabeau and the bottom of Mirabeau, which I guess would technically make the hotel hairpin the middle of Mirabeau, but
I guess.
Yeah, anyway, whatever the case, so that is the Mirabeau section rather than just the Mirabeau corner.
I mean, that's always been, you know, those corners have been, it's always been Mirabeau, not Mirabeau, it's always been Portier 1, Portier 2, and then
Really?
Swimming Pool 1, Swimming Pool 2 to me. Yeah, I've always just called them that.
I hadn't heard of that. I just thought that little fiddly...
It's like, well, it's obviously, Portier 2 is the proper Portier, but I've always kind of referred to it as kind of Portier, a bit like Lesmos at Monaco, and then this, after to back, this is just Swimming Pool 1 for me.
Yes.
You know, it's obviously I'm being lazy, but you know that's because I'm clearly can't learn French corner names. But you know it works.
And then the second piece in chicane doesn't appear to have its own designated corner name. That's interesting. That's Anthony No's corner there, the final turn, named after a journalist who also did a fair bit of racing. And Damien Kardash there going for a practice start as we await the end of the warm-up session. There's the checkered flag on the right-hand side of the screen, and you see the extra checkered flag flashing in the lighting gantry at the exit. So we're getting ready now to change over to the race session, and then we will be underway for a certain amount of racing. We have 39 laps scheduled here at Monaco, and the conditions look bright, which will be to the immense relief of a lot of these drivers. It says fair weather there, so a little tiny bit overcast, but no rain expected. And I should also take this opportunity to introduce our broadcast director, Heigo Poom, who is bringing you all of the cameras, the sights, sounds, and stream that you see at this point in time. Rightio, we're about to go away on the formation lap in just under a minute now, Ross.
Indeed, we are. One thing I've noticed as well, another thing from the warm up and the qualifying as well. To be fair, a lot of drivers leaving nothing on the table. I mean, there's a lot of overdriving of the car. You know, seen a few drivers just clip the walls. I mean, that's obviously a slight touch for the wall in sim won't hurt you. You know, you have to give the wall a fairly big whack to get some suspension damage in a simulator. Of course, unlike real life where you even look at a wall funny and you've broken your wishbone or whatever. But yeah, it's very strange. A lot of drivers leaving very little on the table. So that could be interesting in the race. Could be seeing drivers, you know, sliding this way and that way into the walls.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. But yeah,
Trust me, these cars are tanks. These cars can take a beating. So don't panic if you see a car run into the wall. We saw it plenty of times at Azerbaijan, at Baku, and they got away with it. It's just if you see them going into the wall and then you hear a crunch, that's when they're in trouble. Okay, we're away on the formation lap now, and since I just interrupted you, sorry about that, Ross. I'm going to allow you to run through the order.
Oh, you're so kind. Well, let's have a look at the grid, shall we? Apparently, we're starting from 5th on the grid, as the graphics have a moment. It's Denahan on pole position with Tom Stevens filling out the front row with Mike Quint in P3 and Omar Gorgi in P4 in that number 42 Nova Sim Racing car. Moving further along, we have Moritz Kropp, of course, in the Nocturne car is P5. Frank Hamming was P6 with Alexander Ragota and Adrian Faber making up the 4th row of the grid. Then further along, we've got Ruven Macheda and Menno Klon rounding out the top 10. Mario Watson, great qualifying for him in the HGP car. He starts P11 with Matos Sabinski alongside in P12. P13, of course, it's Damian Kardashian in the Gallery 82 car with Jason Muscat alongside in 14th. 15th is Luke Mitchell and Arda Erkan for Fizlan Racing Team. The number 84 car, he lines up in P16. There's Rafael Lukaseveski in P17 with Craig Patton alongside in P18. He would have been hoping for a little bit better in that Nova car. Let's see what he can do away from the lights. And Kasper Michalak in P19 didn't quite catch his P420, unfortunately. Philip Koenig is 21st with Sandro Van Sant in P22. Vincent Gutt in 23rd. Mike Bell in the PB number 47 machine. He's P24 with Purgis Miram in 25th and Martin Buchan in 26th for the E-Team Brit. The other E-Team Brit car is Sophie Aroen. I think that's how you pronounce it. P27. Justin van der Smissen starts in P28. And then I believe we should have a back of the grid penalty for the car in P29, unless they had not turned up. Guess we'll find out in a minute. Looks like they haven't, so that might be Justin van der Smissen at the back of grid. Yes, it will be. So there we have it. That's your grid for race 1. Of course, 2 races here at Monaco. And a reverse grid race 2 to look forward to as well. On board with your pole sitter, Jake Denahan. What's going through his mind right now? What's going through your minds at home? Of course, don't be afraid to let us know in the YouTube chat. Of course, Kanan, of course, will always read your comments and always respond. But now it's time, Kanan, to hand back over to you for the 5 red lights.
Yep, just quickly, in the avoidance of any confusion, that is a Nocturne car on the front row of the grid. It just has a slightly different livery to the one that you're used to. A special one of Monaco, black and white livery. Rightio, the final car is on the grid now. So here come the lights, and when all 5 of them go out, we will be underway here at Monaco, and it is go. So Jake Denahan gets the lead, puts the power down, and that is exactly the start that he needed. Tom Stevens slots in behind him, and they're relatively single file through the first couple of corners. Little twitch from Moritz Kropp, but he makes it through okay. It's the back of the grid that you've got to be worried about, and it looks as if someone, Martin Buchan, is already rear wingless, but he appears to be the only car affected, which is and a little bit of bumping and banging through Massenet, but and into the wall goes Perseus Miram, who loses his front wing. We expected that to happen, but to be honest, it's still a relatively clean first lap by Monaco standards. Down into the hairpin, you see the car's almost coming to a stop there. One of the cars has come to a stop at the back of the field. Now down into the Portier and through the tunnel. Drivers still trying to make a move. It may be their last opportunity to make a move until the pit stages of this race. Perseus Miram now has lost both of his wings, still having some trouble. And the car that stopped was Sandro Van Sant. He has also lost his rear wing. 3 cars running without wings on this opening lap of the race. Aronwanen misses the chicane and has to rejoin the road. And we're about to complete the very first lap of the race now, with Jake Denahan leading, Tom Stevens second, then it's Mike Quint, McGorgy, and Frank Hamming in P5, Russ.
Indeed, great start for Denahan. It's already got over a set. Well, it's now under a second, turn 1, but it's just the perfect start. A few drivers into the wall, but no big pile-ups, which is good to see. But of course, it's 39 laps around here. It's Monaco. Anything will happen, and the walls are, of course, very, very close by. On board with Arda Erkan, the number 84 car, currently P18, and here you can see, well, it's just very, very tough to follow another car round, coming over the top of that hill, the place where you need the most downforce on the circuit, other than to back in the swimming pool section. And it's very tough to follow a car through there. And, Tom Stevens, meanwhile, that's Perseus Miram into the pits to replace all of their wings. Sandro Van Sant as well in for a new rear wing. Of course, the beauties of sim race, you can just box in and get one of those. But Mike Quint, P3, meanwhile, great start for him in the number 66 car. And, all in all, seems to be a fairly calm start by Monaco sim racing.
Just taking a look back at those instants, and it was really interesting how it all happened. Basically, Buchan lost his rear wing after contact with Perseus Miram, but that's not what did Miram in. Miram then made contact with Sandro Van Sand at the next, or a couple of corners later, but that's not what did Van Sand in. And then at the very next corner, Miram, I guess, didn't realize he didn't have a front wing or whatever, massively missed his braking and slammed straight back into the tail of Sandro Van Sand's car. There's another front wing lying on the track there, and that was Sophie Aronwinen. So Sophie now into the pits and becomes our fourth car to make that stop. Unfortunately, it appears there have been a couple of drivers given drive-throughs as well, I assume for missing the chicane. And a lot of the drivers in the Formula Sprint 2 race were complaining that there were some buggy drive-throughs going on down there, so hopefully we don't have any issues with that today. But it may also be that the game is just quite sensitive there and you have to be extra careful not to miss the chicane. Back to the race, here is Alexander Ragosa on the tail of Moritz Kropp, and cue the frustration because overtaking at this circuit is pretty much impossible. There's only one DRS zone, it's heading down into turn one, and that's not, oh my goodness, Stavros Mazudis, Philip Koenig and someone else, Arda Erkan, are involved in that one. A big kerfuffle in the tunnel, and all three of them are now missing bits of their car.
Yeah, big accident there.
Oh, and it started in the hairpin. They tagged Craig Patterson into a spin, and that cost someone their rear wing. There's a rear wing that went, so Erkan lost his rear wing in that one, in contact with Patterson, and then I presume probably lost it in the tunnel. Yes, and Muzadis and Koenig had nowhere to go. So Erkan lost his rear wing and presumably didn't know quite how badly his car would handle after that, and spun straight into the path of two other cars coming through the tunnel.
Yeah, that's a big shame, but again, just shows how easy it is to get caught up in an incident here at Monaco. Yeah, big incident that. And, well, 3 cars in the tunnel. I mean, probably the fastest point on the circuit coming through there. Yeah, not really anywhere to go if you come across a car facing the wrong way in front of you, and a big crash, but hopefully everyone's all okay. Koenig is out of the race, unfortunately, but looks like Erkan Muzadis still going for the time being. Jason Muscat, meanwhile, in P14, a decent start for him. Getting through some lap traffic already, and it's lap 5. Oh, goodness me, it's going to be an interesting 2 races, isn't it? Oh, excuse me there. Dennehan, meanwhile, still leading the way out the front by a longer way at this point. Stevens probably just sitting there trying to conserve his tyres, trying to just wait and see what can happen. There is Quint. Stevens actually probably on the defensive, to be brutally honest. Quint is putting the pressure on, but of course Tom Stevens, a great driver. He's very strong on the defensive front as well, so I'm sure he'll be more than competent in keeping Mike Quint behind him at the track where it's hardest to overtake and on the entire calendar. But Dennehan, yeah, second in front. The gap not extending as much as I thought would, so maybe Dennehan conserving tyres as well. So maybe just everyone just trying to take it a bit easy for the time being.
Okay, so 3 retirements so far. Buchanan retired after missing his front wing on the opening lap of the race. So did Philip Koenig. And unfortunately, Sophia Aronwinen has just crashed out at Massenet. So we have 25 of our 28 drivers remaining in this race. Sandro Van Sand is a lap down after having to pit. So Stavros Mazudis, Arda Erkan, and Perseus Miram. So realistically, we've got 21 cars still in competition here. 21 cars on the lead lap, and all of them pretty much in a train that goes right the way from the front to the back. Jake Dennehan leading us around about a second ahead of Tom Stevens and Mike Quint. And today I'm not really going to mention DRS gaps because, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Even down into turn 1, you can't really make an overtake unless someone ahead of you makes a mistake coming out the final corner or something like that. So right now, you've just got to keep your wits about you and not leave the door open. Because if you do leave the door open here, people are going to be so aggressive. They are absolutely furious from having to sit behind you for so many laps. And they are going to go for it, whether it's clever to do so or not. Here we are on board with Machete. He's actually got a pretty good run on Menno Clont here down towards the chicane. This is one of the semi-opportunities and decides better of it. Some people would have gone for that there and probably would have missed the chicane and gone straight on. So Machete there deciding that discretion is the better part of valor. And the race continues. Don't write this race off just yet. Yes, okay, I know I'm saying how overtaking is pretty much impossible here, and that is the truth. Although, of course, we do still have plenty to come, both in terms of incidents, and also we have plenty of pit stop strategy, which is going to play into the hands of certain drivers. And to see which drivers, you're going to have to wait and find out, as Arda Erkan comes into the pits, and there's a pile-up on the exit of the second swimming pool chicane. There you see them all getting away at the bottom of your screen. It didn't look like a pretty damaging one.
Oh no! In the background, someone's spinning out a Rascas there. That could have been... Well, that could be very interesting if there's a few cars piling in, but I think I definitely saw... I'm not sure who it was, but there was somebody going around, tagged round.
It may have been Kasper Michalak, because both of the Smile Power racing cars were involved in that, and Michalak was missing his rear wing. Now, Michalak actually started that incident, losing control over the curbs, hitting the wall, and losing his wing in the process. And through came some other cars who couldn't avoid him. That's why Erkan came into the pits, and that's why a few other drivers are hampered further back as well. So a little bit of chaos, and it was indeed Michalak who came into drive coming out of the Rascas due to his damage. Right, the race continues, and I've just got a message actually from Marco Ferlet reminding me that Menno Klont is the only driver on this grid who's won at Monaco in FS1 previously, and yes, that's absolutely true. He won here in 2015, so a long time ago, but he's still obviously pretty good. Machete's just lost a place, hasn't he? So an actual overtake just took place on the track.
I'm speechless. Fair play. Yeah, that's impressive. Well done.
He actually lost that place near the start. My apologies. That was him attempting to overtake Menno Klont. But yeah, it looks as if he wasn't able to get through down into turn one, and yeah, there wasn't any overtakes as a result of that. Sorry.
Oh, Caitlin, it got me so excited, and then nothing. Just every time. Oh well, moving on anyways. Machete, one thing to note, of course, on board Machete, you may have seen running in a Darius Andre's car. Darius Andre did have a back of the grid penalty for this race, so maybe the team decided that they wanted to maximise the points for the event and use a driver who wouldn't have a back of the grid penalty at the track where it's hard to overtake, so that's why Machete in the number 56 machine today. Just stuck behind Menno Klont right now, just, yeah, in no man's land, frankly, which is a shame. But, well, we'll have to see what they can do coming into Sandoval. No looks there. Very difficult corner. Of course, those two big yellow, not yellow, orange even, a big stick. I'm not sure, are they bollards, I guess? I'm not really sure what they're supposed to be. The things that you can take out in the F1 games. Yeah, they just kind of get in the way. They can cause a lot of damage as well and can get caught in the car, and that's not ideal. Menno Klont actually taking the real life by dodging the bump in the road that's caused by the tree that's just growing over the barrier. It's actually a tree root under the track that's been pushing the track up for 100 odd years, or however long we've been racing here. So yeah, but yeah, Machete still stuck behind Klont at the moment, but it's only lap 9. Pit stops yet to come through for many drivers. So have to see what happens as the race unfolds.
We've had a fourth driver out of the race. Sandro Van Sant has just been automatically disqualified for ignoring his automatic drive-through. So what's happened there is he's missed the chicane on one lap, probably the lap where he had some damage. He hasn't realised that he has a drive-through, or he's thought that it's going to be, automatically removed or something along those lines, and he's ignored it long enough that the game has automatically disqualified him. So Sandro Van Sant there, out of the race in unusual circumstances, and I do feel sorry for him because that's not the usual way you want to go out of the race. And Ruben Machete once again taking a look at Menno Klont, and he's going to be almost driven into the wall there. He's still there up through the S's here. And if he keeps this on the inside of Bassani, this would be an amazing overtake. Look at this. And he's going to be held out to dry through Casino Square, isn't he? And he's going to be forced...
Still side by side into Mirabeau. This can't work. No. That's a shame. But wow, what an attempt side by side. Oh, nudging through the hairpin. Oh my goodness me!
Though. I'm really impressed by that attempt from Ruben Machete, because that would have been a completely fair overtake if he'd made it stick into Massini. And yeah, that would have blown everyone away, because that's not normally a place where you would overtake. and to do it in such aggressive circumstances as well. I don't even know if there was contact between the two of them. They were very close, possibly just rubbing wheels slightly, but it was completely fair racing, and Ruben Machete is proving himself to be a force to be reckoned with even at Monaco, although unfortunately for him, he stays in 10th position. Menno Klon, also shout out to him, great defensive driving there. Like we were saying before, Menno knows the circuit, he's won here before. Machete once again gets the DRS and has to hold station down into turn 1 this time. But if he can get himself as close as he was on that previous lap, maybe he'll have another go.
Yeah, maybe, but I'm sure that Menno Klon is now well aware of what Ruben Machete can do, and maybe just keeping an extra eye on the mirror, because side by side as that's Kasper Michalak, I think, out of the race. Yeah, side by side the entire way up by Rivage, all the way until Mirabeau. That is, yeah, impressive. It must be said. But anyway, looking further forward, Frank Hamming, a great opening phase of the race for him. P5 in the HGP car, doing very, very well. Chasing down the opening pack. McGorgy within touching distance, 0.8 of a second is the gap back to Hamming. And then Quint a little bit further ahead than that opening pack. Denahan, Stevens, Mike Quint, those guys have kind of just run away a bit on board with the race leader, Jake Denahan, the number 23 machine, who seems just so comfortable out there, doesn't he? Like, he's not cruising, obviously, but, the car doesn't look like it's stepping out of shape. He's hitting his marks perfectly. He's not overdriving. It's obviously not quite a Sunday drive, but it's as close as you can get while you're pushing on a racetrack.
Some more incidents going on. Kasper Michalak, of course, who we saw briefly on our screen, is out of the race due to an accident at Saint-Devote. So it looks as if he's missed his braking quite dramatically, gone straight on there and got himself wedged in the barriers. Also, Justin van der Smissen has come into the pits. I didn't see whether he had damage or whether that was a scheduled stop, but it does mean that we only have 19 cars on the lead lap now. And Vincent Gutt also into the pits, so it looks as if this might just be the time of race where we're expecting that to happen. Is it just me having some connection issues right now, or is that... No, looks okay. You there? You still there, Russ?
I am still here. I think it might be your end, unfortunately. For a change, it's you instead of me. So I can jump. Okay, I can jump in if you need, or... Don't
worry, it's back to normal now.
Okay, that's good.
Everything very dramatically froze, but it's all back now. I just got a little paranoid because of the issues we've been having in FS1 recently. Oh, and an update about that. They have actually put a temporary fix in place, which is simply that we've rolled the version back to the previous version of R-Factor 2. And I think that is exactly what needed to be done, and thank you so much to Chris Williamson for putting that temporary fix in place and allowing us to go racing despite the issues. Right, lap 13 of the race now, and we're waiting for the first few scheduled pit stops from the leaders. We've had it from a few of the drivers further down the order. And actually, here's another thing to keep in mind. The leaders now have a little bit of traffic due to those pit stops. It's a very short lap here at Monaco, the shortest in terms of, and straight on there goes that back marker to give way to the leaders. Ignore the yellow flag. That is simply a back marker giving way to some of the leaders coming through. I guess that's a poor time to stop then, because that holds up both Vincent Gutt, the back marker, and the leaders, with both of them having to give way in different ways. But yeah, Monaco, the shortest circuit on the calendar in terms of distance, and as a result, you do get quite a lot of traffic towards the end of a race and in the pit windows.
Yeah, you do. I mean, that's the problem with Monaco. It was 28 odd cars at the start. It's not anymore, but when you've got the more, the bigger and bigger your series is, of course, it's great to have a big grid. We love a big grid here at GPVWC. And it means there's racing all over the place, but someone like just becomes an absolute car park sometimes. Yeah, case in point, you're lapping cars, you're trying to overtake cars in front, you're trying to defend from cars to the rear. It's just, there is so much going on. You have to be so focused. I'm going to be honest with you, a few drivers are going to need a shower after this one. The amount of sweat they'll be working up in their sim rigs right now. Of course, much more sweat than we'll be and you'll be having at home. And of course, if you're watching along at home, if you're just joining us, hello and welcome to race 1 of the FS1 Monaco Grand Prix here for GPVWC. It is a pleasure to have you along. And of course, if you haven't already, please do like, share and subscribe on the stream. It's really appreciated by everyone here at GPVWC. And of course, don't forget to keep commenting because Caitlin, as always, will be keeping a beady eye on those. And telling you you're all wrong, probably. I don't know. That's what I do.
The top drivers on the harder compound tyre at this point. Oh, as Giabinski has lost his front wing. The top drivers on the harder compound tyre are Amari Watson and Damien Kardash in 11th and 12th positions. So look for them to come into play on the overcut strategy. But yeah, Giabinski there was right up with the... Oh, look at that! Machete's tried his move again. He's on the outside of Monte-Carlo. Looks as if it was a bit rougher that time. He seemed to have touched a little. And he's going to go for it again into Massenet. And remember, he's going to be held out to dry in Casino Square. They bang wheels once again. This is going to bring Amari Watson into play. And Reuven here is absolutely brilliant. And Krop's crashed. Krop seems to have heavy damage in the tunnel. So Moritz Krop from 6th position has suspension damage, steering damage, and he's lost his front wing. He's going to miss the chicane, hopefully not get a drive through for it, and rejoin the race. But Moritz Krop, what a shame.
Yeah, big shame there. But this battle that we're seeing here with Reuven Machete and Monte-Carlo, Amari Watson is suddenly all over the back of Machete because of the time that he's losing trying to get through Clont. Will go into the pits. Of course, he'll be followed by Moritz Krop in a second. There's Mike Quint having a look on Tom Stevens for P2. So Denahan's shot off into the distance. Tom Stevens now under attack from Mike Quint. So it's all kicking off here. There's Machete further back, and on the back of Watson is Kardash. So suddenly, as a Krop comes into the pits, they're all bunching up in here. They go again.
Reuven Machete loves this turn. Look at that! It's the move of the season. And Monte-Carlo's about to be potentially passed by Amari Watson as well, who goes right around the outside of Massenet. He's going to get the inside line from Casino Square. 2 of the moves of the season, back to back. Fantastic stuff.
I don't know what to say. Brilliant from both Watson and Machete. That was unbelievable. Getting past Monte-Carlo. As you said, 2 of the best moves that you will see all season long, one after the other, over the span of about 3 corners. Brilliant stuff. On board with Craig Patterson. Further back, he's chasing down Mike Bell. Can we see anything similar from the Nova Sim Racing driver? Not entirely sure we will. He's a bit too far back. He is on the soft tyres, though. Bell on those mediums, those yellow walled mediums. But, wow, that's just an unbelievable, outrageous stuff from Machete and Watson there. Oh, and hopefully they'll hopefully they won't be battling each other. They can carry each other forward with the pace they've got and try and catch up maybe to the back of Faber. Of course, Faber hasn't boxed yet. I don't think he's about 15 seconds ahead, 16 seconds ahead, so a bit of a while. But Machete and Watson just take a bow. That was absolutely superb.
And Clunk comes into the pits, potentially an embarrassment. Menu's a great driver. It's just he did get slightly caught off guard there with those 2 fantastic overtakes. And that proves that if you want to overtake at Monaco, you've got to do it around the outside. It's not been a good lap for Nocturne, I'm afraid, or a good couple of laps. There you see one of the Nocturnes going through. That is Moritz Krop. Now, he, of course, spun on the exit of Portier and it hit the wall. That's why he had damage going into the tunnel. And the other Nocturne driver is Tom Stevens. He's now losing time hand over fist to Jake Denahan, who's suddenly found himself with a 7-second lead. And it appears that maybe Stevens' tyres are going off quicker than Jake Denahan's. But yes, Jake's currently leading the race by a long way. And he's got the fastest lap of the race by a couple of tenths of a second here. Half a second to Tom Stevens. Into the pits comes Adrian Faber there from 6th place. That's going to elevate Reuven Machete. No, it's not, because he's coming in as well. So we are well and truly into the pit stages. Amari Watson is going to gain a few places. He is still the top driver on hard tyres. And Faber's going to come up behind him, so that won't change for the time being. There is Reuven Machete after pulling that fantastic overtaking manoeuvre. And Faber almost got overtaken by Ragosa on pit exit there. That was almost I think, who was it who went side by side at Monaco last year? Gasly and Vettel? That rings a bell.
Yeah, Gasly and Vettel coming out of the pits side by side. Maybe
like
something
that.
similar here. Yeah, just like that. But I think that might be a lap car.
No, that's Moritz.
No, it is. It is Moritz Crop. So there you go. Yeah, Moritz Crop. So not quite as dramatic as it was Gasly. Yeah, it was Gasly and Vettel because they were alongside all the way up to Mirabeau. But Crop just about squeezes in front. And well, but Machado on those fresh tyres, well, we'll have to see what he can do. On board with Mike Quint still on the back of Tom Stevens. Owen McGorgy dives into the pit lane behind them. And, well, he's got to run now, maybe with the DRS looking at Sadot. No, has to back off. Stevens just placing his car in the middle of the racetrack, being an absolute roadblock. That's exactly how you defend out here in Monaco, and it causes a lot of frustration to the driver behind, but it's how you stay in front at a track as narrow as this.
Stevens is not quick at this point in time. His lap times are seconds slower than Jake Dennehan, who is now 10 seconds. Jake Dennehan is suddenly dominating this race, partly thanks to Tom Stevens here, who is dropping back and holding up Mike Quinn and Frank Hamming. Meanwhile, Owen McGorky's been into the pits now as well, so Watson up into P5, and that's soon going to turn into be the battle of the hard tyres, although Watson, of course, yet to stop. So McGorgy, realistically, is the top driver who has made his pit stop. Quint's so close to Tom Stevens now. And you see, Stevens has lost a second and a half on this lap already to Jake Dennehan. And I don't know how Jake Dennehan has kept his tyres so intact, but he has. And this is allowing him to absolutely run away with the race. Now the yellow flags are out somewhere, and finally Tom Stevens does come into the pits. Now, it's not actually that dramatic that Stevens has lost that much time to the leader, because if he can avoid being jumped by those other cars that he was around, he should still be okay for second position in this race. The only battle that really does affect, or the only position it really does affect, is the lead position, because it pretty much means now that it's Jake Dennehan's race to lose.
Yeah, it does indeed. I mean, he has been absolutely superb today, to be fair, and of course, And
McGorgy has jumped Stevens, so McGorgy claims what will potentially be net second place, and that is the trouble with having an in-lap so slow. Tom Stevens has dropped back behind Owen McGorgy, and that's a position that he might not be able to make up again. They are both being held up a little by Amari Watson, so there may potentially be an opportunity, but that is a move which will alter the podium positions in this race.
Well, it is indeed. So there we go. More changes afoot, but as I was saying, Dennehan into the pits. Here we go then. So this is the stop we've all been waiting for. So Quint will take the lead of the race for the time being. What will happen to Amari Watson behind as well? He's yet to box. So McGorgy should still come out in the net lead of the race. Actually, I think he'll be second because Watson's a long way back. Onto the medium compounded tyres. There is Mike Quint, your new race leader. There is Jake Dennehan, your net race leader on the medium tyres. And, well, that should be, in theory, his only stop of the race because he's managed to get those soft compound a long, long way. 21 laps out of 39. So that's good for him. Also a pretty decent indicator that we may be able to get away without having a stop on the softs if you're careful on your tyres come race 2. So we'll have to wait and see there. But yeah, Dennehan pits from the lead. Now P2, McGorgy, his closest rival on fresh rubber, currently P4 and a long way back and a big wobble out of Casino Square to boot.
I'd like to point out that Luke Mitchell is in this race as well, one of the FS2 championship contenders, and I think this is probably the last race in FS1 he can do this year before he's not allowed back down into FS2. I think you're allowed 4 rounds in a higher category, and into the pits comes a driver running. That was Mike Bell there in the PB racing car. Jason Musker also made a stop on the last lap. But the reason I brought up Luke Mitchell is, first of all, he's a very good driver and doing a decent job so far today. But also, he really helped me with my setup in FS2, so I'd just like to say thank you on the stream. Mike Quint now has made his pit stop, so he has come in. Jake Dennehan will retake the lead of the race, and we're about to see what the gap actually is. Quint's going to come out relatively close to Damien Kardash potentially. Prepare the Lance Stroll replays because it's about to get exciting. No, Kardash goes straight through, so Kardash will reclaim 5th position. Mike Quint will stay P6. Adrian Faber getting relatively close, but he's going to be blocked off up through Beau Rivage. No, he's not. Look at this, to the inside, and he is blocked off now. And Frank Hamming has also come into the pits. 10 seconds is the gap for the lead now between Jake Dennehan and Amari Watson. 11 seconds to Owen McGorgy, because McGorgy and Stevens are now both being held up by Amari Watson, who's yet to stop. And Amari here is under no obligation to jump out of the way, and he won't do so because he is running his own race and doing a very good job on his strategy. But this is the issue with starting on the soft tyres. You lose that vital track position unless you can build up enough of a gap to come out ahead of those hard tyre runners, exactly like Jake Dennehan did. And once again, this is playing well and truly into Jake Dennehan's hands. And this is why they say you make your own luck in this sport, because yes, he's got lucky, but only because he was there in the position that was going to benefit from that luck.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how that all unfolds over the course of the race. Yeah, on board with the Nocturne number 28. It is definitely the Nocturne in that special livery. Tom Stevens P4 currently. And yeah, up by Rivage. Now, there's still a few drivers out there on the softs who haven't come into the pits yet. You know, Amari Watson, I think he is on the softs and he hasn't come in yet. Or unless he's on the mediums and I'm lying, I am. But yeah.
Watson's on the harder tyres, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe the first phase of pit stops are done then. Who knows? But yeah, so there shouldn't be another stop. It should be a one-stop race, plain and simple. Which we weren't expecting. We were expecting a decent few stops. Apparently the tyre wear here was a bit rough from what we heard prior to the race, but it seems like it's all okay come race day. So yeah, it's interesting to see. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, I suppose. Amari Watson is the highest placed driver currently without a pit stop. After him, you have to down to Lucas Zaveski in P13. So that's a long way down. So yeah, Amari Watson currently doing a great job on the alternate strategy.
Yeah, it was always going to be a one-stop. It's race 2 I'm a bit more interested in from a strategic point of view. Another lap completed. McGorgy here may have an attempt at Watson, actually. He's fairly close, but he's still a little too far back down into turn 1. Luke Mitchell, meanwhile, has just dropped out of the points. He came into the pits missing his rear wing, I'm afraid to say. And Vincent Gutt now also into the pits, and I'm pretty sure that's his second time in, so something may have gone wrong for him as well. Still, we have 23 drivers remaining in this race, and 16 on the lead lap. Jake Dennehan leading by 12 seconds as Amari Watson almost gets pushed through the hairpin. Someone else was getting pushed through the hairpin in the background, but surviving for the time being. And we're winding down the laps now. 15 laps to go in this first race here at Monaco, and Amari Watson still right in front of Owen McGorgy and Tom Stevens, holding them up, frustrating them. But I really do think this might be Tom Stevens' last chance to get back past Owen McGorgy, because when Watson comes into the pits, they'll be free to race at full speed, and then of course it's going to be even harder to overtake Owen McGorgy than it is now. It's already looking pretty impossible down into Saint-Devote. Owen McGorgy here needs to make sure as well that he's not getting too desperate, because yes, Tom Stevens is on his tail and Watson is keeping him there, but let's face it, they're not going to catch Jake Dennehan at this point in the race. There's nothing to go after, and McGorgy's not going to be overtaken anyway so long as he holds his line.
Yeah, I mean, Dennehan's probably thinking that Amari Watson is his lord and saviour, because Watson, he's obviously on old tyres. He's holding up everyone else. So everyone else is just losing a lot of time, and so Dennehan can just take it a bit easier, I suppose. I mean, of course he'll still be pushing hard. That's the kind of driver he is. But yeah, so Dennehan, counting Amari Watson as his lucky star in that number 7 car. Meanwhile, behind him, Owen McGorgy probably cursing his name to the heaven, thinking, why will you just come into the pits and let me push, please? Because with every single lap, the already minuscule chance of being able to catch Dennehan just gets smaller and smaller. Of course, pending a mistake, and that's Amari Watson, who is trying to go into the pit lane there. So McGorgy is now free, but McGorgy, I think, was actually trying to stick a nose
Yeah.
up the inside into Raskas and then try and get the dive bomb into Anthony No. So obviously that lost him a bit of time there as well.
I'm
But
really
yeah,
glad. Sorry, I'm really glad McGorgy realised that actually, because he did have his nose on the inside, and he could have kept it there, either preventing Watson from pitting or just spinning him round. So luckily, McGorgy saw that he was there, but there was a little bit of a hold-up, and Watson now comes out in 8th position. The gap for the lead, 15 seconds, Ross.
yeah, that is a big gap. That is that's big. Thank goodness for the reverse grid in race 2, because as much as I love Jake Dennehan running away, I want to see tools up the front. Obviously I love seeing great performances. Watching a great drive is, it's one of the beauties of motorsport. Appreciating the talent that's on display and just thinking, wow, that's what we're seeing from Jake Dennehan right now, is a great drive. But, and it's a very big but, at the same time, I want to be seeing people tussling for the lead and stuff. So race 2, that could very much be our occasion to enjoy that. But Dennehan is, he's 14 seconds to the good. This is just a test session at this point for him, isn't it? It's just there's a trophy coming at the end of it.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing an amazing job out front, but he still has to keep his wits about him. Jason Muscat's been into the pits again. I'm pretty sure that is his second time, and I don't know why, because he didn't appear to be damaged. And of course, Jason Muscat is not exactly the first driver that would come to mind when you think of wearing out tyres. So something must have gone wrong somehow for Jason Muscat. And yeah, that was his second time into the pits. It wasn't a drive-through. He stopped in his box. Anyway, Frank Hamming has also been in twice. And Vincent Gutt has as well, but I saw that happening. Justin van der Smissen now in. He potentially has had an issue. He's off the lead lap, so I think he had an issue earlier on in this race. That might be why some of these drivers have come in twice, actually, because a few of these drivers were caught up in the first few laps of this race and had to come in. But they won't have been able to keep their tyres in check for the entirety of the remainder of the race. 38 laps here isn't exactly doable, even on hard tyres. But anyway, DRS now active for Tom Stevens, but way too far back for an attack on Owen McGorgy. Amari Watson here is one of the drivers to watch in the latter stages of this race, because he, of course, is on soft tyres, as is Damien Kardash behind him. And the drivers ahead, including Ruben Machete, who is the next car up the road, are all on hard tyres. Machete holding his line, but Amari Watson will have far more theoretical pace at this point.
Yeah, of course. And Machete, I think for me, has been one of the real stars of today's race. And of course, Dennehan out the front doing absolute bits is fantastic. But Machete, of course, one of the 2 overtakes of the season that we've seen here today coming from him. Some brilliant attacking attempts on different drivers. I think he's been a real star. Of course, standing in for Darius Andre as well. I think he's put in a fantastic performance. So yeah, I think he's been a real star for me today. With 10 laps left on the board, well, let's see if he can maybe work his way forward, and let's see if Mike Quint can work his way forward as well. He is tailing Tom Stevens and Owen McGorgy in this battle. It's not really a battle, they're kind of just following each other for the time being, following the leader, or second place anyway. Just up the hill, no one's really close enough to have a go. No one's really trying to push having a go. I think they're all just trying to bring their tyres to the last few laps, because there's no point trying to push early, maybe getting through. But then either, you risk not getting through, and either way, you're going to do your tyres in if you do push now, come the end of the race, and then you're going to be in a really sticky situation. So I think, I think these guys, it'll end up being, some sort of battle if they do stay together. But for now, just, perfectly comfortable, just sitting there, letting the race run its course. You've got 10 laps left. Just entering the final phase of things, just bring the car home, and then when you're entering, the last 4 or 5 laps, then you can start to push, start to abuse those tyres a bit more, and see if you can get onto the podium places in Mike Quint's case.
So, 10 laps to go here at Monaco. It's been a very typical Monaco race. Plenty of trains as drivers get bunched up behind slower moving cars ahead. plenty of action with drivers bouncing off the barriers at various points in the race as well. Quite a lot of lapperies, drivers getting out of the way, and quite a lot of strategy, drivers pitting at different points and getting in each other's way and all of that. Exactly what you would expect from Monaco. Not quite the glitz and glamour you'd expect from Monaco. Of course, we don't have all of the rich and famous celebrities lining the track like we would in real life, and all of the yachts on the outside are computer generated. But that's okay. It still looks like Monaco and still feels like Monaco. And race 2 coming up is going to be an even more intriguing race, because in that one you're going to be able to see even more frustrated drivers, I expect, getting caught up behind slower drivers. We're going to have a partially reversed grid between 6 and 10 of the top drivers are going to be completely flipped on their head, not literally, but in terms of their order. And that means that, say if 10 is the number drawn, which it very much could be, Jake Dennehan, clearly the fastest driver on track right now, is going to have to fight his way. I mean, he's not going to be able to fight his way past all 9 of them, surely, but he's going to have to sit behind 9 slower cars and curse the regulations, I suppose. But anyway, it's going to be quite fun to watch, I expect. Frank Hamming, meanwhile, is the fastest driver on track right now. He has made 2 stops, and as a result, has been able to go onto a set of softs, and his flying lap is about 1/10 of a second faster than what Jake Dennehan did earlier in the race, partly as a result of that lightened fuel load. Mike Quint still on the back of Tom Stevens. I barely said his name because I barely needed to, but Mike Quint has been there pretty much the entire race, and he still has a chance of a podium if one of the drivers ahead gets slightly unwary down towards the chicane. Sometimes an overtaking opportunity, but only if the driver makes a little error out of Portier, and then up through to back, which I wouldn't go side by side with someone through if someone paid me $100.
I'd need a fair amount of money to go through there, of course, to back a one of the. It's actually essentially stayed the same, that corner on the. It's actually, Monaco as a track layout hasn't really changed that much over the years, but all the corners have slightly changed here and there. But Tabac has essentially been the same corner, basically alongside kind of Casino Square, the hairpin. Those 3 have basically been the same the entire time the circuit's been here, since like 1929 or whenever it was, when it was first raced on. Of course, so named after the old tobacconist that used to sit on the outside of the corner when there was a row of shops there and not a grandstand nowadays. I think, and obviously there used to be no barrier there in the way as well, so if you did have a crash, at least you could pop out and go for a smoke, I suppose, if you survived. But yeah, it's a very, very tricky corner there, very fast, blind, late apex. You just got to hope the front of the car doesn't wash out. Very tricky if you're following another car through there as well. We've seen some big accidents across the years there, both in motorsports and in sim. So it's, very, as you said, going side by side to the back, it's just there is one line through that corner and one line only, trying to attempt an overtake in there. It's only ending badly for both of you, frankly, and anybody behind you who will promptly pile into the scene of the accident. But yeah, it's a nice corner. I do like tobacco. I mean, that's the thing about Monaco. It's actually a very, very fun track to drive. Of course, it's awful to race on just because there's nowhere to drive. It's a fun track, lots of very unique corners. It is its own unique challenge.
Well, it's unique to racing anyway. I tend to see it as a different style of racing to normal Grand Prix racing. It tests strategy and it tests patience, patience being the key word, I suppose, there. Luke Mitchell here having to be super patient, stuck right behind Craig Patterson on those hard tyres. Craig doing a decent job to run in the points despite being turned around on the second lap of the race. A little bit of motorsports history about Tabac is that, yes, the shape has stayed the same, although there used to be a really nasty bump on the entry where there was a little bit of a change of surface as you went off what was basically...
Oh, of course. It wasn't even a bump. It was basically a ramp, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like a proper ramp going from one level to another. And that used to really unsettle cars right up until the 70s, I think. And actually, in the very first Formula One Grand Prix here in 1950, there wasn't a wall there on the inside of the back. So sometimes on really choppy days, waves used to come up over the side of the circuit. And that happened, and look, sorry, about at P16 there, Giabinski taking a look at Luke Mitchell, considering the Ruben Machete move, as Mitchell has a twitch. He's going to get a bit of a run, but I mean, this is not exactly a straight. Back to my story quickly. That sort of thing, that the wave coming up and splashing over the circuit, happened in 1950. It caused F1's first ever pileup, as cars flew into that on the first lap of the race, and Fangio crashed and everyone piled into him behind. No injuries, of course, but that ended up, I think, giving Farina a pretty straightforward win there. But yeah, just a little bit of a little bit of classic Formula One history for you there.
Well, you know, do love a bit of classic F1, and of course, Caitlin, you do love your facts, don't you? So there you go.
Yeah, well, sometimes people talk about people going into the sea at Monaco. They don't so much talk about the sea going into the cars, but yeah, that is exactly what happened in 1950.
Yeah, first year of the Formula One World Championship, of course, and well, there you go. Didn't have sim racing in 1950, unfortunately. So I don't think we could quite have the same accident nowadays. Well, you can do it. You could pretend you're at 1950 with the right cars and stuff, which is, you know, the beauty of sim racing, I suppose. But I mean, at that point, your computers were still the size of like houses. So yeah, good and yeah, good luck. Yeah, trying to have a race on there. Luke Mitchell to the inside. Unfortunately, Zabinski couldn't get through there, but he was having a look into Massenet, and now he's having a look into Mirabeau as well. Matthias Zabinski looking very, very fast in that number 16 car, currently running in P16. Yeah, all over the back of Luke Mitchell, who's all over the back of Craig Patterson, I believe. So, oh my goodness me. And that is the problem with Monaco. If you get stuck behind a stop car!
And Mitchell, once again, that's his second proper accident of the race. The second time he's had to coast back to the pits, missing a wing. This time it's his front wing. And that is going to be his last opportunity of points gone. So Mateusz Jabinski elevated into the points. And Portier has been a bit slippery here today. That's exactly how Moritz Kropp had his instant earlier on. And also Philip Koenig. So two of our drivers have already DNF'd there. Or not DNF'd because Kropp's still going. And still, oh my goodness, Kropp's 7th. Wow, great drive from him. But yes, Luke Mitchell, I'm afraid, getting caught out.
Yeah, big shame there, just on the curb, giving him a bit of a boot fault in the rear of the car, just spitting him out, coming out of Portier, and that was that. Into the pits he comes. Oh, what a shame for Luke Mitchell. We had a very exciting battle on our hands there into the last few laps. Got a very exciting battle on our hands here as well. Tom Stevens on home. Goodness me, that was very nearly an accident there. May have just been the camera angle, but looked like Tom Stevens got very, very close to the back of McGorgy in front. And this battle for P2 now 21 seconds behind Jake Denhan in the lead. But it's not over yet, and as well, Mike Quinn, Adrian Faber as well on the back of these two. So still a battle for the final podium places. And McGorgy looking like he actually got a bit better, got a bit of a gap built there actually, coming through the slow and twisty section of the track, coming through the hairpin and the Portiers. So yeah, maybe just a bit more speed through the low speed stuff for McGorgy. And yeah, look at that, he's actually starting to pull away a bit. So maybe just some of the commentators on board courtesy for Tom Stevens. But yeah, it's very, very close here with 3 laps left to go on the clock as well. Yeah, it could be anybody's race for this remaining podium places.
And I know it's unrelated to this race, but I've got to quickly correct myself on my 1950s F1 knowledge. Otherwise, I will never forgive myself. It was actually Farina who was crashed out by that wave on the opening lap, and then several cars piled into him, not Fangio. Fangio ended up going on to win that race by over a lap as a result. So I said it was a relatively easy win. It very much was, because his main rival and plenty of other cars were piled up, not in the sea, but the sea caused them to pile up. Back to this particular race. Apologies for going off on a bit of a nerdy tangent. Here is the battle for second, still, I'd say raging, but I mean, I think it's the drivers who are going to be raging inside their helmets here. McGorgy, P2, followed by Stevens, Quint, Faber a little way back, but may get the DRS soon. He has been catching these three, and normally I'd be getting a lot more excited by a driver catching up to the back of a battle for the podium with 2 laps remaining. but let's face it, he's going to stay there unless something happens. But yeah. 2 laps to go now, the one that we have just started, and then 1 more, and Jake Dennehan has got his lead out to 22 seconds.
Dennehan is just in a class of his own this race, isn't he?
It's like a Fangio style performance. Oh, who was that getting out of the way? There's a slower car there, sorry, who almost got in the way of McGorgy, but I think Owen's going to be okay.
Yeah, but as I was saying, Dennehan just absolutely out of here. It's been a superb performance, and part of me almost feel it's almost a shame that we're going to have a race 2 tonight for Dennehan, because if he doesn't win that one, it's going to taint what's been a brilliant evening for him. A dominant pole by GPVWC standards, a unbelievably dominant race by GPVWC standards, just in a different class. Honestly, it's like he's rocked up in a Superlights car. I'm not even joking. He has just been phenomenal tonight, and all kudos to him. But he's still got 1 more lap to complete, of course, so can't give him all the praise just yet till he's crossed the line and received the checkered flag waving. For now, let's focus on the battle in front. Can Tom Stevens get through Owen McGorgy in the last few laps of the race? If you look here, you might see... No, you can't quite see, unfortunately. I was about to say, you might see Dennehan there. You can see Dennehan as he enters the lap of the race. Up Beaurivage for the final time in race 1. Of course, we have a second race to look forward to after this one, the reverse grid race. If you're new to GPVWC, the number that we choose from the reverse grid is pulled out of the hat, so it's completely random. There's no fixed position, so Dennehan could be starting anywhere, apologies. But, I mean, what else to say? What a performance.
Anywhere between 6th and 10th, but yeah. Stevens didn't get a good run out of turn 1 that time. Quint thought he might have a go. Also, Faber lost a couple of seconds on that last lap, so I think he may have had a bit of a slide or something. But he's still there in 5th position, still has his wings attached as we continue to ride on board with Jake Dennehan, who has been doing a fantastic job in this race so far. And yeah, like I said briefly earlier, shout out to Moritz Kropp. Remember, lost his front wing at one point in this race, had suspension damage, which would have made his pit stop even longer, and he is running in 7th position despite. I think he's lucky that happened pretty much when he was going to make his pit stop anyway. Jake Dennehan, what an incredible performance out of the final corner, and he is going to win race 1 here by a storming amount of time. That is going to be eye-watering when McGorgy comes across the line and sees plus 22 or something like that. Here comes Owen McGorgy, who's done a good job in his own right to hold off Tom Stevens and Mike Quint. They've been putting a lot of pressure on him. So it's going to be McGorgy 2nd, Stevens 3rd, and Quint 4th in that order. They got close on the last lap, but not close enough. Adrian Faber dropped back a little, but he finishes P5. Alexander Ragosa will be P6. Moritz Kropp, an excellent comeback, has got Ruben Machete on his tail here, but I think they're going to finish in that order. So Kropp and Machete. And then it'll be Amari Watson in P9, who ran 2nd for so long earlier on, but not in the net order. Kardash has lost his wings on the last lap, and seems like he's still going to hold 10th place. So Damien Kardash there, getting very lucky that that's happened on the last lap. And he's disappeared from the order, so I think he's been automatically given a 1-lap penalty there, potentially as a result of not taking a drive-through, and I think the game will probably... Yeah, so what's happened there is that the game is automatically added on a lap to Kardash's time, and the stewards will be able to decide whether to uphold that or not when they go over the race order after. So for now, we're going to say that Damien Kardash was actually P10. Then we had Frank Hamming, Jason Muscat, Mateusz Jabinski, and Craig Patterson in the points. There is the order once again. I've already read it out once, so I'm not going to say it again. You guys can read, I hope. Then we're going to see the rest of the order. Manu Klontler, P10, Frank Hamming, Jason Muscat, Mateusz Jabinski, Craig Patterson, Damien Kardash, who I think is realistically P10, but that's a little bit up in the air for the time being. Then it's Vincent Gutt, Luke Mitchell, Mike Bell, Stavros Musadis, and Justin van der Smissen. And then Arda Erkan, Rafael Lukaszewski, and Perseus Meram also finished this race. And I'm a little interested to see, actually, what happens with Damien Kardash, because the game has automatically given him a penalty, but the stewards don't have to uphold that. And also, that means, does that mean he gets to start from pole if P10 is drawn, or is he starting from P17 no matter what? That is something I think he's going to have to discuss with the race director here, but it could go either way on that one, Ross.
Yeah, it could do. I mean, they'll need to make their minds up quick, obviously, because we've only got about 10 minutes before race 2. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But that was your race 1 for the FS1 Monaco Grand Prix here, the 2022 GPVWC FS1 season. And well, what a performance from Jake Dennehan there, doing donuts at the end to celebrate a fine drive, perhaps one of the finest drives we've seen so far this season. And well, we'll have to see what he can do in the reverse grid.
Indeed. So that is the end of the first race, but don't go anywhere. We will be right back for the second race after a short break, just to give me and Russ a chance to have a little relax. So we're going to be straight back, so don't go anywhere. Okay. Welcome back, everyone, to the Circuit de Monaco. There you see it spinning around on your screen like before. We've seen race 1, and we're getting prepared for race 2. The reverse grid number is 9, meaning that Amari Watson will be starting from pole position, and Jake Dennehan, the dominant force in race 1, will have to start all the way back from P9 on the grid, and where he's going to finish from there is anyone's guess. And actually, I would advise you, or not advise you, but I would encourage you to make a guess. Put it in the YouTube chat. Where's he going to finish? Is he going to finish in the top 9? Is he going to get taken out in the first few laps? Anything is possible here at Monaco. And who is going to win? Well, first of all, we're going to talk you through the grid when we can show that in a little while. You having trouble with the Heigo? Okay, we'll get that for you in a second. It's okay, it's okay. It happens. Okay, we've got about 50 seconds now until the start of the formation lap, and then we will be underway for 26 laps of Monaco. Still quite, I mean, it sounds like a long race, but this is a very short circuit. So it's actually going to be about the same length as any other GPVWC FS1 Race 2 race. Russ, what did you think of the race that we've just seen?
Absolutely brilliant from Jake Dennehan for starters. And we had obviously it was your classic Monaco race. It was a bit of a train, but there was some great moves. I mean, we've just seen two of the great probably this season. So it's been brilliant. So hopefully we are bringing you the live footage soon.
We're hearing that Heigo may have to restart the game. Heigo, if you're going to have to do that, do it really, really quickly because we're away on the formation lap now. Okay, so we're going to go to the broadcast break screen. I think, can we keep talking, Heigo? Is that something we can do, or is that going to spoil it all? Okay, we're going to go for a break, and then we'll be back as soon as you've got it figured out. Okay, hi guys. The race has now begun. You haven't missed much, but yes, I'm afraid we have missed the start of the race. Heigo is still rushing to get the broadcast back, but I will keep you updated while he is doing so. Amari Watson is leading, followed by Moritz Kropp, Alexander Ragosa, and Ruben Machedi. Machedi did start on the front row of the grid, but he was hung out to dry on the exit of the corner he likes so much, that first corner at Saint-Devote, and has dropped down to 4th place. Then it's Adrian Faber 5th, and Tom Stevens, Mike Quinn, Owen McGorgy, Jake Dennehan, and Frank Hamming. Jake Dennehan having to come all the way. And Luke Mitchell has been involved in an instance on the exit of Saint-Devote. Also involved appears to be Mateusz Ziebinski, but Ziebinski still has his wings. Mitchell has stopped. He has lost both his front and rear wings. Russ, are you in the server? Do you see what's happening?
No, is the simple answer.
I'll have to keep you all updated. That's okay. You can join in when Heigo gets the game sorted out. Philip Koenig is also out of the race now. He has hit the wall somewhere. He managed to make it back to the pits, but has obviously decided not to continue. Kasper Michalak is out, and Mateusz Ziebinski is also out after the incident. Ada Erkan has had to come in through the pits. So Amari Watson now leads by 2 seconds. He's building out a little bit of a gap, but the car behind him is Moritz Kropp, who we know is quick and probably would have finished ahead of him in race 1 had he not had his little incident. Did finish ahead of him in race 1 despite his little incident. He's got Alexander Ragosa on his tail, who started 1 place behind him on the grid and is still there at this point in time. The field streaming through. Massenet on the 3rd lap of the race. Watson leading 2 seconds ahead of Kropp, Ragosa, Machedi, and Faber. I said before the race that Kropp was my pick for the win due to his incident in race 1, putting him 1 or 2 places back from where he was expected to be, and therefore 1 or 2 positions higher up than he should have been in the grid for this race. But that does give him an advantage of already being ahead of several drivers. And we have the game back, do we? Yes. Okay. And it goes full screen. Fantastic. We are back. There you see the cars once again. And do we have the overlay? Yes, we do. Fantastic. So Russ, welcome back, I guess.
Oh, pleasure to be back alive. That's Amari Watson into the pits.
Wow. What's going on here? So Watson, this has got to be for a jump start, right? I don't see any reason. I don't see any other reason why he'd be into the pits.
Yeah, that's a drive-through.
Yes, it says drive-through on his car. So I presume that he's jumped the start here. I didn't see him miss the chicane. So Watson, who was leading the race, he was getting away as well. He was leading by 2 seconds. Is now down in 15th position. That is a lot of ground to be lost. Wow.
Must have been a jump start there for Amari Watson. What a shame. After such great race 1 as well. Oh, yeah, that is a big shame. But, that's how it rolls sometimes. And, I'm sure that he'll be able to fight his way back through. But that is a massive shame for Amari Watson. It is now Moritz Kropp who now leads to... Well, he was your prediction to win, wasn't he, Kaylin? Well, there you go. Well, so far so good for Moritz Kropp. Ragosa close behind Macheda in P3 as well. So everyone, just kind of sitting there. It's only a 26-lap race this, so a little bit shorter. Should be a no-stopper on this hard compound tyre. Of course, there is a no mandatory pit stop in race 2 in FS1. On board with Alexander Ragosa in the Gallery 82 car, the number 48 machine, chasing down Moritz Kropp. There's still a long way to go in this race. It may be more beneficial to try and hold on to your tyres at this stage than to go for the attack. But then again, remember in Monaco, all you've got to do to defend is just plonk your car in the middle of the racetrack. Even on the most shot tyres in the world, you can maintain a position just by driving as slow as you can.
Like in the YouTube comments, Josh Dowden saying GPV5 live. Yes, indeed. We had a little bit of a radio broadcast there. And also, Amari has a drive-through. Yeah, we know. I guess that was posted before he actually came in for it, but sorry for seeing that a little late. Sandeep and Shimon crying about the issue in the chat. Obviously, Amari fans there. Moritz Kropp and Alexander Ragosa still pretty close. I almost said Ragosa, actually. I'm not just making excuses here, but Ragosa, I know he's good in race 2. It's just that Moritz Kropp was a little out of position, I feel. Now, And was that a wing on the track? No, I think we're okay. Now, talking of the YouTube chat, if someone could please let me know, how can I get my cursor back in R-Factor 2? It has randomly decided to disappear, and now it's really difficult for me to get replays or anything like that. So if someone could let me know that, please, if there is, in fact, a way to get it back. And Watson's out! Amari Watson is out of the race after starting on pole and leading the early stages of the race. He has called it a day. Now, I do have a replay of this. It appears he lost it on the exit of the second swimming pool chicane, and yes, has decided to call it a day. So Amari Watson from bad to worse, and now he's out.
Yeah, that's a shame for Amari Watson, who went from hero to zero in the space of about 6 laps. But, you know, what can you do, unfortunately, for him? But it is still Crop that leads this race from Rigota in P2. Macheda 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds now, back in P3 with Favourite and Stevens following closely behind. Denahan and McGorgy, they've obviously moved up place as a result of Watson pitting. So they've managed to start to P7 and 8, but no magic so far from your race 1 podium holders. But yeah, it is still Crop that's leading. Rigota seems pretty happy following him for the time being. Doesn't seem too, too pressed or too worried about sitting behind. He's, pretty happy just sitting there. But well, we'll have to say and see. There is on board with your race 1 winner, Jake Denahan. And even for someone who was so dominant in qualifying, so dominant in race 1, again, it's been 7 laps and no moves made. Just a car park sometimes, and that is the case so far for Jake Denahan.
And yes, Watson slightly jumped the start. I took a look back at the replay. He went and then stopped, which is indicative of having creeped and got a jump start penalty. And that is why he had to make his drive-through, and that is partly why he's out of the race now, as Denahan touches the back of Owen McGorgy's car. There's that frustration I was talking about. In other news, Shimon Frelick, you are an absolute legend. Thank you so much, dude. I've got my cursor back thanks to your tips there. Meanwhile, Arda Erkan has retired to the pit lane. Not sure why. There didn't appear to be any damage, but Arda was running a little way down and is now out of this race. So only 20 cars left. There were 2 cars who didn't start the second race, having retired from the first race. Sandro Van Sand was one of them, who was very annoyed with Perseus Miram at the end of that opening lap of the first race, and I'm sure that the stewards will take a look at that in due time. And I'm trying to work out who the other driver is who hasn't made it back. I'm not entirely sure just yet, but I am sure it was Sophia Aromonen. So Sophia Aromonen, the other driver not to have returned for race 2. Still very new to R-Factor 2. Remember when Sophie turned up for the Portuguese round of the championship, she'd only done about 20 minutes of driving in R-Factor 2 and jumped straight into an FS1 race, which is admittedly why she is a little off the pace, but also props on her for actually doing it so early in her R-Factor 2 stint. And I'm sure that she will only get better with more practice. Here is Damien Kardash on the back of Vincent Gutt down in P14. And once again, absolutely no overtaking taking place because this is Monaco and you can't overtake unless your name is Ruben Machete.
No, you cannot. Once again, Monaco doing that classic Monaco. As Damien Kardash currently stuck behind Vincent Gutt in the Gallery 82 car. His teammate is currently challenging for the lead. And Kardash, stuck in the lower ends of the points. Let's see if he can do anything. We are 1/3 into this race. There is Mike Quinn in P6, trying to attack Stevens, trying to defend from McGorgy. He's in that, just can't go anywhere, can he? I mean, these guys, they're all super, super fast. And the entire point of a reverse grid race is to show that you have the ability to come through the pack. It's to show, the top teams in the Super League, in Super Lights. It's to show that, you've got what it takes to go from pole position or higher up the grid. But once the grid is switched around, you can also race. You can work your way through cars. At Monaco, it's just, unfortunately, you're sacrificing race 2 for a good race 1 result. And, there is on board with Rigota. These guys, lucking in with Amari Watson at the front of the pack, but Rigota just no way through at the moment. But to be fair to Crop, he's doing a good job so far on lap 9 and 26, holding his own, not making any mistakes. So let's see if he can manage to hold that for the rest of this race.
every single driver on hard tyres, except for Mike Bell running in P15. And I feel like at this point he is just doing whatever everyone else is not doing, because I guess that's his best chance. Look at Alexander Ragosa here. He is not letting Moritz Krop get away. He is actually a little closer than he was at the start of the race. Alexander Ragosa was even closer than this a lap ago, but had to back off a little, got maybe too close, got into the turbulent air, and now dropped back a couple attempts. He'll probably gain that back again on this next lap. And I mean, having an attempt is a whole different matter. I think he's going to have to pressure Moritz Krop into a mistake. Here's Damien Kardash, one of the most attacking drivers on the grid, who does attack actually, has a little look up the inside of Vincent Gutt into Massenet. Gutt going defensive on the exit. Oh, Kardash on the inside now. And forcefully,
Nice, very nice.
Works his way through. Now that was fair. It was a little brave, but it was fair. And Vincent won't be hugely happy about it, but he left the door a little open there, and Damien was like, "Thank you very much."
That was a really nice move there, it must be said. Yeah, door was open, through a Mirabeau, through goes Kardash, and already pulling a bit of a gap on Vincent Gutt. So showing that untapped pace, once you clear the cars in front, you... Such is life here at Monaco, but yeah, nice move there.
That was one of those moves where if they'd come together, it would absolutely have been Damien's fault. But because they didn't come together, it was fair. And I mean, that's a risky type of overtake. It's the type that Ayrton Senna was always famous for. I put my car here, you can choose whether to have the accident or not. And it's a style of racing that I don't always like. I feel like some people take it way too far and do it all of the time, even when they really don't need to. But Damien Kardash there, I think he was entitled to try something, and Machete's had an instance on the exit of the hairpin, and Faber's about to go round the outside into third place, and they touch, and around goes Machete. So Ruben Machete, who was slow in the hairpin, is now going to be slowed down even more because he's found himself sideways across the racetrack.
Yeah, very dangerous place to go around there. And, did the responsible thing, waited for all the cars to come through and then reversed out. But, yeah, if someone had just come in through that corner tight or had gone for an overtake, that could have been disaster there. So Machete, unfortunate, but, smart thing, got lucky that no one ran into him. Still in the points, so, you can still get something out of this race, but not ideal. There, and that's another all from Caitlin.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking back at the replay of Machete. The reason he was slow on the exit of the hairpin is because Faber stuck his nose right where he didn't want it. Where Ruben Machete didn't want it, into the hairpin, which, yeah, I mean, it can be an overtaking opportunity. It's very rude, but anyway, Machete goes around and drops down the order. I also just noticed, not Machete, sorry, Damien, what am I talking about? No, it was Machete, Dura. Damien Kardash actually just gained another place on someone else, somehow. Craig Patterson, did he pass? Oh, Patterson let him through. Okay, not sure why that happened, but anyway, that was a change for 12th position. Here is Moritz Krop, who's now got away a little from Alexander Ragosa. 1 second is the gap. Ragosa under a little bit of pressure from Adrian Faber, who made that overtake into the hairpin a lap ago. And now into the PCN section. Faber getting closer. Pretty evenly spread the first few cars. Here is Damien Kardash, currently running in 12th position after that move a couple of laps ago on Vincent Gutt, and that move in the tunnel on Craig Patterson, who appeared to let him through for some reason. Not sure why still.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Kardash P12 currently fighting, or closing down rather, on Menoclon, trying to fight Menoclon, and he's looking close, having a look into Sandoval. That would have been very through there. Oh, and gets it all wrong on the exit. And, well, that ruins any chance of a move up the hill, unfortunately. But Kardash, he's looking very, very racy at this stage in the race. Looking very fast. He's got a lot of pace in that wagon. And again, look, he's already caught back up to Clon. Yeah, Kardash. Keep your eyes peeled on him. He's looking very fast right now.
Sophia Romanen posting in the YouTube chat. Sorry, I thought it best not to race in the second race as I don't have the pace. Yeah, that's understandable and very, I guess, very noble of you to admit as well. It is a shame, but yeah, you know, as I said before, more practice. I know that you're very new to RFX2, so no one's judging you for that. Josh Townard saying that's the Bell strat, referring to the soft tires for Mike Bell. Don't know if he's intending to go for a one-stop or not, but he may be forced to at this rate. And Mars, they're saying I'm such an idiot. Who's Mars? Is that Mateusz Jabinski? I think it might be, actually. Not
Well,
sure.
yeah, you are
why.
an idiot, Caitlin. God.
Sorry?
You are an idiot. Yeah, shut up.
Oh no, I think that was one of the drivers referring to a mistake they made or something. Apologies if that's not Mateusz Jabinski, but anyway, Jabinski is one of our drivers who's out of the race due to an incident earlier on, and I'm gonna have a look back at that. It looks as if no, that wasn't Mateus's fault. He got lagged into by Luke Mitchell. That wasn't anyone's fault, really. Okay, I don't know who's referring to what there, but anyway. Let's look back at the race.
Indeed, we shall. And, well, maybe some moves there. Damien Kardash again, trying to the outside, now to the inside. And oh, and that could have been a nice little move, but Clont shutting the door. But again, Kardash looking so fast. And again, just, oh my goodness, they touch. That could be, oh my goodness, a big touch there. Luckily, Menno Clont managed to get it facing the right way, and no front wing for Kardash, and that is such a shame. I think Clont moved under braking there. Kardash with no front wing, he'll need to box, but that could have been so much worse.
And Patson threads the needle, goes through the two of them, so he gains a couple of places and all of that. Did Menno move in the braking, or did did Kardash run into the back of them? I'm going to see if I can have a look back at that. My initial reaction was that Kardash left his braking a bit too late, but then again, Clont did move in the braking, but I don't think he intended to. I think that it was as a result of that bump there, which both of the drivers went over. So, I mean, I don't know. I think the stewards are going to have to look at that, but when you are the driver behind, you do have to provide for things like that. Drivers slowing a little faster than you expected, or moving over a tiny bit in the braking, because when they move over drastically in the braking, then it's their fault. But yeah, I'll have to leave that up to a steward's inquiry to see whether Menno did move over too drastically, or whether Kardash ran into the back of them through. And there's been a change somewhere. I think something changed in the top 10. Jake Dennehan's just run over the chicane there. Oh, Dennehan's lost his rear wing. That's what's happened. So Dennehan, our race 1 winner, has been into the wall, and that was in the Louis Chiron chicane. There he is in the pit lane, and yeah, no one else involved. He's made the mistake all by himself, and that's why you were saying, I guess, Ross, that it's almost a shame there's a race 2 here today, because Jake Dennehan should be celebrating right now as the rightful dominant victor of race 1. But he's going to come away from this race meeting with a little bit of a bittersweet feeling as a result of having shunted in race 2.
Yeah, that is a big shame, and yeah, like I said, yeah, Dennehan, you know, this should have been, you know, his night. You know, it should have been all about him, and instead, you know, race 2 has kind of soured his day. It's kind of put a dampener on the occasion. You know, were this at any other track, I'm sure he would have scythed his way through the pack if he was showing that, you know, dominance, but not at Monaco, and, you know, he's now wound up in a down in P20, the last of the runners, Buchanan as well. I've had a fair few DNFs in race 2, and that is a shame. We've got 10 laps left to go here at Monaco. You can see there just a few cars in the pit lane. Adrian Faber is looking to put some pressure on Alexander Ragozza right now. The Galloway 2 car, Crops pulled a little bit of the gap. Actually managed to break the DRS, which isn't that crucial around here. But, you know, it's still, you know, just a marker. So, you know, it's kind of a mental thing. You know, once you've broken the DRS of the car in front, you know you're dropping back. And then Ragozza now under pressure. Can he hold on? Adrian Faber looking like he's starting to push, starting to, you know, see where the car's going to test the limits as he gets a little bit of a snap there through the back end of Massenet. And actually misses his braking zone by about a metre coming in. So, yeah, that tells me he is pushing right now. He wants that P2 and he can sense that now is the time. He's smelling blood. from Alexander Ragosa. Now he's just waiting for the opportunity to appear to dive up the inside, whether it be just no defense from Ragosa or there be a mistake from the pressure that's put through. We'll just have to wait and see. But Faber looking very, very quick right now.
I'm hoping, as Ragosa has a little twitch there actually, but survives it. I'm hoping that Faber doesn't go for it again into the hairpin, because I don't like that move. It sometimes works, but the trouble is, more often than not, you end up crowding the other driver into a tight spot on the exit of the corner, and it is a little unsporting. He could do it. I'm not sure Ragosa would let him, but I guess we're going to see. Still minuscule gaps there between everyone from second down to P7. Crop getting a little bit of breathing space, but still not that far up the road. Still would be considered in that battle if we had a battle graphic. Hey Russ, do you know someone called Zach Sweeney?
I do know Zach Sweeney. Is Zach Sweeney rocked up in the YouTube chat?
Yes, he says, is that the one and only Ross McIntyre?
It is the one and only Ross McIntyre. Is that the one and only Zach Sweeney? Good to hear from you, my friend. Yeah, hope you're doing well. Yeah, good to see you coming along here at GPVWC. And of course, good to see everybody coming along at GPVWC. If you haven't already, please do like, share, subscribe to the stream. It really does help us all here at Grand Prix Virtual World Championship. And yeah, as always, it's great to have you along here, of course. Myself, Caitlin alongside me. She's always keeping a beady eye on the comments as Damien Kardash sets a 1:15 dead on the soft compounder tyres after that pit stop earlier. That is so fast. I was telling you Kardash was looking racy. Even after that incident on the fresh rubber, he's still pushing. That's a great lap.
Yeah, still not quite as fast as lap in race 1, but that's still pretty good there. And he is outside of the points, so he's going to take the fastest lap point away from... And Faber, look, he's on the back of Ragosa, takes a look to the inside, and they touch, and around he goes! And it's just like the accident with... Oh, and he's got to be careful not to drive back into traffic here. It's just like the accident with Machete earlier on, except rather than the other driver getting pitched around, he's got a taste of his own medicine there. Adrian Faber dropping all the way back to 8th position. And, I mean, admittedly, a taste of his own medicine is a little over the top for me to say. That would have been a fair move. It's one of the only places on the track where you actually can overtake sometimes. He was on the inside, but maybe a little too far back. I'd just say that's a racing incident there. It looks to me as if Monaco was the real aggressor in that one, and Adrian Faber drops all the way back to 8th position.
Interesting turning around method there. I mean, you know what? I got him out of the way. Fair enough. That's Mike Quinn tapping the outside wall at back there. But yeah, you know, that's just unfortunate for Adrian Faber, another victim of the track. She's a cruel mistress. And yeah, you know, he was having a good race, but he's still P8, still in the points. You know, there's still something to be taken from this race too for Adrian Faber. And well, still you know, putting on a rejoining display with his car gymnastics there as well. But that means that Tom Stevens now gets bumped up into P3, putting the pressure on Ragosa. Crop has extended the gap to nearly, well, it is now 2 seconds. So Ragosa...
Well, Machete, side by side with Faber now. Machete getting his own back. He's got through into 8th place. And once again, it's the outside of Sandoval where he's done it. Ruben Machete, take a bow.
Well, there you go. Overtakes the season 2 in one night for Ruben Machete. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant driving that he's been putting on display this evening. You know, it's, you know, he's not been, you know, winning and dominating, whatever, but he's just been putting on some fantastic wheel-to-wheel action at a track where you shouldn't be doing these things. It just doesn't happen. And he's been doing them. It's brilliant. And he's standing in for someone as well. You know, this isn't a normal FS1 driver. This is someone who's come in to replace someone for the evening.
Hasn't driven this car anywhere near as much as he's driven the Super Lights car. But yeah, Ruben Machete doing a wonderful job in this race. Actually, I think he has driven this. He drove for a different... Oh, sorry. What's that? Ah, sorry. I accidentally loaded up another YouTube stream. I suddenly heard your voice there, Ross, saying things you'd already said a minute ago, and I was like, what?
No worries. Easily done.
No, my apologies. Okay, Stevens, they're pretty close to Ragosa, isn't he? So now that Faber's out of the action, Stevens has allowed himself to close up to the back of Ragosa's car. He's bringing Quint and McGorgy and Hamming with him. as there was a little change further down in the order. It looks as if Kardash has now got past Miram. Yes, okay. Miram's struggling. The race continuing. Tom Stevens pretty quick at this point in time. Jake Dennehan now has the fastest lap of the race after his pit stop. He's into the 1:14.9s, although well out of contention and actually has a bit of traffic. Ooh, and that was Lukashevsky on the back of Stavros Muzidis, giving him a little touch. Lucky not to spin him around. Oh, and he's gonna try again. Had another swipe into the hairpin. And the fact that Mercedes hasn't spun around yet is a little bit remarkable there. 5 laps remaining in this race. Through the tunnel they go. And now Mercedes is having an attempt himself on Mike Bell. Not quite.
Not quite. Not quite. It was close, but not quite. He is on the soft tyres, though. So Mike Bell is anyway, so, you know, you've got to take that into account.
And you see there that Kardash down to Buchan are also on softs, but that's because they've all been into the pits for damage repairs throughout the course of this this race. And yes, it looks as if it's pretty much just the top 15 in contention for points right now. Of course, the top 15. Oh, and Lukashevsky, of course. Then again, Kardash only a few seconds back, and he is going very, very quickly. Lukashevsky taking another look. Oh, touches the back of Mercedes' car again. That's about the 3rd time in a lap. Mercedes is not going to be his biggest fan. And again, look at that.
That was a
out the way.
NASCAR-style dump and run there, almost. Oh, no! And, hard into the wall.
Yeah, seemed to have stuck the car into reverse and just ploughed himself into that one there. But, not the best driving from Rafał Lukashevsky, I think. He touched the back of the car in front of him 4 times in a lap, which you can't get away with. And he didn't get away with it.
Yeah, no, now he's paying the price. Damaged suspension, it would seem. No rear wing as well. It's going to be a long way to limp back to the pits there. Moving further forward, though, Tom Stevens in P3. Rigota's managed to pull away a little bit, so can I just take a breather potentially? Krop still has that 2-ish second gap, but Rigota, well, I said he's pulled away. He's actually just lost all of that time, seemingly immediately, somehow. The gap's now back down to 0.4 of a second. So, yeah, we'll have to see what's going on there. But there is Moritz Krop, your race leader, who was, 2 seconds away. He's sitting very comfortably right now.
Some yellows. Looks like Mike Bell may have been involved in an incident. Yes, he's backwards at turn 1 with Stavros Muzidis. So those two who are right together have come together. Damien Kardash goes through. So Kardash is now in the points despite his incident earlier on. And it looks as if Bell lost on the entry to the corner. Muzidis ran into the back of him. So after being touched from behind several times in one lap, Mercedes has now done exactly the same thing to Mike Bell, and they've both been caught out by it down into turn 1. And Mercedes now out of the race, and Moritz Krop's had an incident once again. So Krop loses his wings and comes into the pits, and that is a disaster. Moritz Krop had an incident in race 1. Still managed to finish in the top 10, but looking at the order, I don't think he's going to be anywhere near the top 10 in this race. He'll be lucky to score points at all. And that was at Tabak, yes. So no, it was earlier than that. That was where he lost his front wing. His rear wing was already missing. But yeah, that's was it Portier again? I think it may have been the same place and the same way that he did it before. Here is our race leader. I swear Rigosa wasn't leading before.
No, it was Krop that was leading.
Oh, so Krop's lost it from the lead. Sorry, I'm completely losing my my marbles here. But yeah, so Krop's had an incident from the very front of the race, and Ruben Machedi now leads. So this is now the battle for P1.
Krop must have his head in his hands right now, just throwing away a win. Unbelievable. You know, you've got to feel for him. But now, Alexander Rigosa, talk about pressure. He's lucked into the lead of the race. He's got a 5-car train behind him, but he's got 2 laps to hold on from Tom Stevens, who has been on his tail the entire time. It's now a win. The stakes are higher, and Stevens is now smelling that there's a win on the other side of maybe getting more aggressive. Ragosa surely maybe panicking a little bit behind the wheel. You know, suddenly this is for a race. And we've got, well, essentially 1.5 laps left to go now here at Monaco in race 2 of the FS1 round here. I don't know what's going to happen. It could be Ragosa, it could be Stevens, it could be Quint, it could even be Hamming. It could be any one of these front 5 crossing the line and taking the victory because they're all so close and anything could happen over this last lap. But Moritz Krop, he's in full. He's going to get, a couple of points. He's going to rescue a couple of points here, but I got a feel for him to throw away a win like that. It does hurt, but at the same time, that's what a shame.
And I'm honestly not sure what happened because I look back at the replay and I think my replay might be lagging because what I'm seeing doesn't make sense. It looks as if he had a random bobble midway through the corner as if he hit something, but he was also going really, really slowly even before that point, which made me think maybe he'd lost his wing and it wasn't showing up, but I rewound backwards. Honestly, I don't know. I'm sorry. Anyway, we're heading on to the final lap of the race. They're all very close up the front here. They all stay single file into that turn. Ruben Machete's had another off, and that's further back. Keep watching the leaders, though, because they are very close. And Vincent Gutt, has had an off as well. He's gone straight across the chicane and may have a drive-through as a result of that. No, he doesn't. Okay, so Gutt's got away with it. Still not entirely sure what sets off those drive-throughs in this race. Look at this. 6 cars for the lead on the final lap at Monaco. And Ragosa is going to have to drive like Nigel Mansell here, making his car the widest that it can possibly be. Like Ayrton Senna, with Nigel Mansell all over his tail. In this case, Tom Stevens, Mike Quint, Owen McGorgy, and Frank Hamming down into the chicane. Luckily, no one going for a silly dive, because someone may have been tempted through to back. This is where Krop had his instance. Now the swimming pool section, and it looks to me as if Ragosa's done enough. Stevens sniffing. Final turn now, and Ragosa just has to drag his car to the line to win race 2 here at Monaco. It's a great performance from Alexander Ragosa. Tom Stevens second, Mike Quint is third, followed by Owen McGorgy, Frank Hamming, Jason Muscat. Adrian Faber is going to be P7. He beats Ruben Machete due to Machete's little off a couple of laps last lap actually. And then Craig Patson will be P9, Menno Klont will be P10, and then it'll be Damien Kardash, Vincent Gutt. Moritz Krop is almost going for a spin on that last lap there as he comes back to the line. He will claim P13 though at the end of the day. Aston Van der Smith P14 and Perseus Miram P15. So those are the points finishes in this race. There is Ruben Machete. What a drive there from Alexander Ragosa to hang on to the lead, followed by a stream of cars. And what a shame for Jake Dennehan, our race 1 winner, who retired who hit the wall and didn't quite retire from this race, but didn't score points in the end. And of course, Moritz Krop, who led the majority of the race and had a bizarre incident, which I'm still not entirely sure of the cause of, so we'll have to ask him about that one. There's your order once again on the screen, and that's going to scroll past. There you see the rest of the order, the drivers who finished but did not score points: Mike Bell, Jake Dennehan, Martin Buchan, and Rafał Lukaszewski. And then you had a few retirements as well. But yeah, a couple of entertaining races today. Monaco is it's definitely a standout race on the calendar, whichever way you look at it. It's bizarre in a way, in that there can be pretty much no overtaking, but it can still be very entertaining just because of all of the unpredictability, the tension, sometimes the carnage. We did have a little bit of that today, not gonna lie, but anyway, the races are over now. What did you make of that, Russ?
Well, super calm and composed by Ragosa there. Great drive. Yeah, that was he'd been handed the lead with 2 to go, and very calm, very composed, very cool. Wasn't good enough to challenge for the lead on pace. Unfortunately, Monaco sometimes it just does these crazy things, and great job there by him to take the race to him. But a great couple of races tonight that we've seen. Monaco, it's not usually a track that delivers on the absolute racing front. But well, that was certainly an enjoyable evening.
Absolutely. So, our podium in that race, Alexander Ragosa, Tom Stevens, and Mike Quint. Totally different to the podium in the first race, except for the fact that Stevens has appeared on both of them, hasn't he? And to claim 2 podiums at Monaco, yeah, a third and a second there, that is some going. Means he would have had to. I'm not sure he actually pulled any on-track overtakes in that, apart from on the first lap of the race. He was just there when other drivers had issues and didn't have issues of his own. Great stuff. Okay, we can now bring in a few drivers for interviews. Who should we speak to first? Let's talk to someone who we don't have any of the podium finishes from that race in the interview room just yet. So let's talk to our race 1 winner instead. Jake Dennehan. Jake, are you there?
Yes, hello.
Fantastic. Hi there, Jake. Okay, so we're not going to talk about race 2 just yet, for obvious reasons. Let's start off with that dominant race 1. I bet you've never seen Monaco so quiet.
Yeah, it was, I thought it was going to be a lot more chaotic, to be fair.
What does it take to win Monaco by 22 seconds?
Well, it was mostly just luck, because I noticed that Tom started losing a few seconds near the midpoint of the race, so I just kept being consistent, and I just gapped them.
You make your own luck in this sport. I mean, you were there and in the right position to benefit from that. Strategy as well. We heard the tyres were a little bit of an issue. Were they okay on your end?
Yeah, they were fine for me. I just wanted to pit after Owen pitted, because I heard he pitted, and I just wanted to cover it off.
Now, you're the first driver to win back-to-back races in this season. You won race 2 at Azerbaijan and race 1 at Monaco. Is there something about street circuits in particular that just appeals to you?
Normally street circuits are not very good for me, but recently they have, so I have to be grateful for that.
I'm afraid we've got to quickly touch on race 2 there. What happened?
I think near the start of the race I hit the wall, and I ended up getting steering damage, which made my car very unstable. And with the mix of the tyre wear, it just kind of got away from me, and I lost it in the chicane. But I'm not going to let it take my race 1 performance down.
Yeah, I wouldn't. It was an amazing drive, one of the best I've seen at Monaco. Russ, do you have anything to add for our race 1 victor?
No, just congratulations. What a dominant performance tonight we've seen Jake here in race 1. I would say to Caitlin, it was almost a shame that we had a race 2 here to but yeah, absolutely brilliant. Well done.
Thanks, Ross.
Congrats, Jake, and thanks for the interview.
Thank you.
Rightio. Russ, who do you want to bring in next? Oh, I'd suggest Tom Stevens, actually, because he's had
We've got like half the field wanting an interview right now.
Yeah, this is we're popular today. Let's go for Tom Stevens. Tom, hey, double podium, Monaco. That's great. Woo.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, definitely wasn't expecting that, because race 2 I knew was going to be a struggle, but yeah, really happy with that.
Fantastic stuff. How did you manage it?
Well, it was mainly about qualifying, and it didn't completely go our way, because don't know how Jake was so quick, but I got to give it to him. He did an amazing job this round, and so yeah, I managed to get P2 in the end. And then in the race, Jake was just pulling away. I mean, we filled up our cars, so we put the whole race stint, like the whole race, put all of the fuel in. So when we came to the pit stop, we didn't have to refuel, because we thought that would be a key thing in Monaco for strategy. But in the end, I just ended up destroying the tyres, and I ignored Toby, my engineer. He was advising me to pit, and I was like, no, I'll stay out. And then I got undercut by Owen, and then it wasn't enough to get back past again. But yeah, race 2 was just about avoiding everyone spinning out. But apart from that, it was pretty good.
It's a good point. Yeah. So race 2 has now given you a 4-race podium streak. Third, second. Those are all at street circuits too. Is there anything about you and street circuits that just gels?
Oh, usually not. I don't like the low grip track surface, but I do like the high downforce tracks. So Monaco was quite a good one. But yeah, I'm copying that Chris Butcher trend from last season. He got, 9 in a row at this point in the season? So
yeah, he did.
see if I can match that, and that will put me in a great position for the championship, because you can win a race 1, but if you can't get back on the podium in race 2, well, then you're just losing overall. So
I've been told you might actually be joint leading the championship now with Owen McGorky, but I don't want to say that for sure because I don't know. But yeah, you are in a very good position here. Russ, do you want to add anything for our double podium finisher?
Congratulations. It was pretty decent. Obviously, you kind of got sniffs here and there. Maybe could have been, but at the same time, double podium at Monaco. It's a great result. So well done, Tom.
thank you very much.
Okay, so that was Tom Stevens. Thank you, Tom. Let's bring in, who should we bring in next? Who else here finished on the podium today? Owen McGorky finished on the podium in race 1, didn't he? He came second.
I believe so.
Owen, hello, how are you?
Sweaty.
Sweaty. Oh wow. It's a physical circuit, Monaco. How did you find it?
Well, I was looking forward to it in practice, and then, well, after that, I'm happy it's done, because yeah, it was very, very tricky. Just keeping it out of the walls was so difficult, and well, yeah, not crashing with other people as well. That was pretty hard.
But you made it. I mean, second and fourth. That's a pretty good record here at Monaco. Race 2 there as well. Really bunched up at the end. How is that, having cars right in front of you and also right behind you?
It was. I don't know, really. I just drove and I focused on the walls more than the drivers around me, because I knew that no one can really pass. The only times where I really defended were on the last lap of both races. But yeah, it's I don't know.
And,
I don't know really what else to say.
When you pitted in race 1, was undercutting Tom your goal, or did that just happen?
Well, it was the goal from the start. I knew that no one else would try and go for the strategy that I went for. I put all the fuel in at the start and boxed only for tires. I didn't put any fuel in because I knew I'd get a couple, like maybe 1 or 2 seconds quicker pit stop, and it worked. And yeah, it was pretty close from what I remember on the exit. But yeah, the pit stop did wonders for me.
It's a good strategy here, yeah. Congratulations on your race 1 podium. Russ, do you have anything for our second place finisher from race 1, fourth in race 2?
Again, no. You kind of said all I wanted to say to everyone, Caitlin. Yeah, just some good results here at a very difficult track, and a couple of interesting races. So good job out there.
Cheers.
Right, who are we missing? I swear we're missing one. We're missing our race 2 winner, aren't we? Alexander Agosa. He hasn't dropped in. That's a shame. Mike Quint, also. We never usually get to interview him, but he was on the podium today. Oh well, Russ, okay, I think we have time for one more interview. I'll let you take your pick as to who in this broadcast room is waiting.
I gotta have Moritz Krop in here. I've
Okay.
gotta speak to Moritz after that.
Oh, I tell you what. Also, once we've done that, let's bring Ruben Machete in for one question, and you know what that question's going to be about. Okay, go for Moritz.
Right, let's drag Moritz in for an interview, shall we? Moritz. Hello. Oh, there we go. Well, I don't know what to say. I mean, race 2, is all going so well. What happened?
Yeah, as soon as I approached the left hand corner, I saw a bit of front wing right on the exit.
Oh no!
And I was already like on the apex, and I tried to avoid it, but it didn't really work, and I crashed and lost all my wings. Yeah, just nothing I could do really. I tried my best to avoid it, but yeah.
That's a shame. But apart from that, I mean, run us through that race, because you were doing so well. In race 1, it's going really, really well for you. I mean, is Monaco a track?
Sorry, excuse me, you were cutting out there.
Sorry, you were having a really good evening up until that point. Is Monaco a track that you're particularly fond of, or?
Not really. I didn't do a lot of practice for it, to be honest. And the practice we got wasn't very optimal. So I'd say no. The track, I don't know. It's just not my track in general. I don't know. The balance was a bit off. And yeah, I mean, it's fun in race 1 as well. so it's not very good. But thanks to the team as well for preparing the setup and helping me, because without them I would be nowhere.
Yeah, of course. Team's doing a lot of work here in GPVWC. And, well, I mean, after, a disappointing end to the night, what it could have been, what are you going to do moving? Try and do some more work for the next race, keep your head up?
Yeah. So we have the spring break coming up. I'm actually quite looking forward to that. The first third of the season has been quite tough and exhausting. We did so many laps, and I think it's going well. We just need to sort out the drivers. But yeah, we'll definitely come back for more.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you for joining us, Moritz, and rotten luck out there. You're having a great evening, so thank you, and yeah, well, better luck next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
That
Moritz.
was Moritz Krupp.
Okie dokie, let's bring in Reuven. Reuven, you there?
Yep.
Okay, I'm afraid we're going to have to be quick because we are running out of time, but I just quickly wanted to ask you about those overtakes. I saw you overtake 2 people around the outside of turn 1, once in race 1, once in race 2. You tried it so many times in race 1, and it finally paid off for you. And what a reward. What a move.
Yeah, the battling with Minnow was really fun, so I really enjoyed that one. And the overtake, I think, yeah, it was pretty good. And the feeling after the overtake was also pretty good, so yeah.
Like I said, we're running out of time, so do you want to say anything else on the broadcast before we end?
No.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you so much, Reuven, and congratulations on. And you had a few good results today, a couple of top 10 finishes. Shame about the incident, but you still did a wonderful job, and you're one of the drivers of the day.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Okay, so that was Reuven Machete. All right, well, that was all that we've got time for today, I'm afraid to say. But thank you all for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this round as much as we did. So next week we're going to be live with Super Lights and then Super League at the same time, with Super Lights starting on Tuesday and then Super League on the Thursday. Both of those are taking place at Monaco as well. And then, of course, we are going to be live once again in 2 weeks' time from the circuit Gilles Villeneuve. So thank you, Ross McIntyre, for joining me. Thank you as well to Heigo Poom for streaming the stream. And we'll see you then. Good night.